time is now. NUFC Early Night News with Gary the Geordie Yum Yum, Andrew Bokey, Christina Cage, and Derek the Mighty Wind. Weekdays from 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. USA. NUFC Talk.
Good evening, one and all. How are you doing? I hope you're all well on this Monday Eve. The window's closed. I'm hoping my door's closed because it's blooming freezing in here. Welcome, one and all. Like I say, I suppose it's our first time over in the Northeast. DAB Radio. So welcome everybody that's listening across the Northeast. If you are listening, welcome along. I suppose we'll do the housework before we get into tonight's show. So welcome to all watching and listening. Thanks to everybody that works in the background doing an amazing job. Don't forget, people out there in Viewerland, if you could just do a couple of things for us, it would certainly help us as a channel. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell because you'll get notification 30 minutes before we go live. And now we are across the Northeast on DAB. It will be very nice for you to jump on board, even if you want to listen to us, if you can, on your phone or anything like that. Jump on board and help us grow further as a channel. It just, again, everything goes back to the channel. Here, we just try and push everything back to develop this channel to bring you all of the news and bigger and better stuff. You can become a member, obviously, if you want to. It's $4.99. It's the NTTV Plus membership, and that'll get you all behind the scenes access. If you've got a question for any of us in the panel, throw a Q in front of it, but it ain't guaranteed, by the way. So again, if you want to guarantee it, then throw us the NTTV super chat. That'll guarantee that message read out. And anybody that becomes a member during the show will be highlighted. And any of those members that are out there, which are lovely, that gift them will also be highlighted and thanked as we go on. So let me introduce myself. I am Gary the Geordie Yum Yum, as you can tell by the accent. I have the mighty Win, my right-hand man. I've got the substitute, Bokey, in the corner there. And I've also got our Christina Cage, Tina Tooney, with us as well. We've got to get her background sorted one of these days. Lady and gentlemen, are we good on this Monday Eve? I'm hoping everybody's well.
Well, physically well, but still reeling from the weekend's result and ramifications thereof.
Yeah,
as is always the case.
Absolutely, as has always been. It wasn't the best game of football I've ever watched or commentated on, I must admit. It started off well, but ended up pants. But we're going to go into some information anyway of what we're going to do. Bokey and Tina, how are we doing tonight?
Yeah, pretty good. There wasn't a lot happening in the transfer window by the looks of it, which I'm sure we'll get on at some point. But healthy, well, just about recovered from the two Newcastle games that I watched at the weekend. Obviously the Liverpool one, and then the ladies against Charlton as well. So Ipswich. So yeah, Liverpool game. I think everybody feels pretty much the same as that. If we could have just stopped that game after 25 minutes, I'd have been the happiest girl in Newcastle. But unfortunately, there's a rule of playing on until the 90th minute, which, kind of messed things up for us.
Yeah, crazy. Choppy's put one in here. What time does the window finish? An hour and 4 minutes ago, mate. It's gone. It's over. And as we already expected, nothing has come our way. Bokey, you're very quiet tonight. You're very subdued, sir.
He's pointing at the DAB radio.
Yeah, it's because he's muted. That's why he's.
No. I was disappointed over the weekend. To be honest, I sat and obviously watched the Liverpool game, and it was disappointing. We started that game so well that give you such excitement, and sort of you thinking, well, maybe he's going to get something here, and then what happened, which we'll go into, and then I sat and watched the ladies' game as well. And it was basically 4 hours of disappointment over the whole weekend for us, basically. So
yeah, exactly.
But that's what it comes from being a Toon fan.
How did the ladies get on?
1-1.
1-1
against Ipswich. Yeah, it wasn't a thriller at all.
But on the plus side, Bokey was the only person in our prediction league to go for 4-1 to Liverpool.
Wow.
And get the 5 points that you get for doing that.
Well done, you.
I'm not sure if I'm too happy about that.
I would rather.
I know Bogey won't be, to be fair,
no,
but
I'd rather have been a lot wrong win. I'd rather got no points.
Exactly. Then let's crack on with tonight's show. We've got quite a bit to get through, ladies and gents. So let's do it. So it's 8:05 as we speak. This is Newcastle United Talk Radio as well. And once again, we gather not because things are calm and sensible, but because absolutely nothing makes sense. Newcastle United, the only club where we can't score enough goals, can't stop conceding them, and still manage to generate a transfer rumour involving Arsenal every other week. Honestly, we're one WhatsApp message away from Bruno being linked with Real Madrid under 12s. Tonight, we've got plenty to unpack. Deadline day came and went. Newcastle were monitoring situations, aware of opportunities and considering options, which in football terms means we refreshed X for 8 hours and signed absolutely nobody. Financial fair play, profit and sustainability, PSR, call it what you like, but it's basically the footballing equivalent to being skint until payday. Then there's Sandro Tonali. Apparently, Arsenal fancy him. Of course they do. Even Chris fancies him. Everyone fancies him. The question is, if Newcastle don't start moving forward again, how long before these rumours turn from fantasy football into actual football? And Jamal Lascelles, strap in for this one. Not fit enough to play for United, but fit enough to captain Leicester City in the Championship. Turned down West Ham, turns down Birmingham, heads to the Foxes. And suddenly, his knee's working okay. Either Leicester have discovered a miracle cure or Newcastle have quietly decided the club captain was surplus to requirements. You can decide which version you believe. On the pitch, well, we concede goals for fun and miss chances like we're legally obliged to keep the scoreline interesting. Is it tactical? Is it individual errors? Or is it fatigue? Or is it simply that Eddie Howe is trying to play Champions League football with half a squad held together with tape and optimism? That's what we're asking tonight. No PR answers, no fence sitting. If you think it's tactics, say it. If you think it's players switching off, then say it. If you think it's all part of some grand master plan that we're too emotional to understand, well, good luck explaining that one. So here we go. The chat's open. You can literally bombard us with everything you've got. Like I say, we'll try and listen to everything that you throw at us, and we'll try and answer it the best we can. Let's get comfortable or uncomfortable, one way or the other. Right then, so I think we have to start, if I like. And I did mention, I heard you and Chris mentioning it earlier on, which was obviously the young girl, the young mascot at Liverpool. If you go literally behind the scenes on that one, it's quite a difficult subject to go with, because what you have, it's the club's responsibility with these mascots, and what they have is chaperones. So it'll be Newcastle. Newcastle will have had this mascot and chaperones. All the staff would have been lined up. And what usually happens, as you saw with Van Dijk, is the club captain who becomes the chaperone on the field of play, because again, during the club rules, only so many people are allowed to enter the field of play. So chaperone then becomes the captain, which would have been Kieran Trippier. He should have then chaperoned that little girl back, or played a little bit of football with her before he moves back to the staff on the sidelines. And then when you look into it a little bit deeper, I did take a couple of moments to try and understand what was going on, and bear with me because I did have it up on my screen. And what it states was the fact that you've got the club are investigating what happened because there was a breakdown in communication. The big thing that everybody's talking about is safeguarding. You know, you've got to think of the fear of that little girl being left alone in a centre circle in front of thousands of fans. She just felt, you know, what do you feel at that age? Was she 8 years old? I mean, if I was the parent, I would have been going absolutely ballistic. So the club have failed her. And there is an investigation going on. They've not blamed anybody apart from a breakdown in communication. But for me, that just makes a bit of a mockery at the whole thing. It just makes us look so amateurish when you can't even get a mascot right. And I think that needs, there's something desperate going wrong there.
Gary, can I just pick up on this one quickly? In regards to this, what happened? It was terrible. It was obviously a mistake. It hasn't been done deliberately by the anybody, but it did look absolutely awful, especially when you've got our mascots walking towards the cameraman asking him what to do, and on the other side of the pitch, Van Dijk playing football with their mascot, which was terrible look. But at this point, and Christina will know this as well, if you're in a customer service background, what you try to do is get the positives out of it, and there's not many you can with this. But what they should do is say, we're going to investigate and we'll do all that, but for the mascot, she gets a signed shirt from every single player that was at Newcastle. We'll send that out to her, as well as a little bit of club merchandise. And her and her family are invited to Newcastle United to watch any game she wants. They'll be given free tickets, and it'll be obviously all on the club, and she'll get to meet the players, and she'll get to have a tour of the stadium. So just do a quick PR thing on it and say, we got it wrong. Whatever happened, whatever the investigation says, we got it wrong. But what we'll do is to put it right, or not, but not to put it right as such, but to apologise to the family and the little girl herself, is we'll offer them this. And I think that would just be a very, very quick fix to this. So you try to turn a negative into a positive.
Yeah, it just looks a bit, like I say, it just looks a bit amateurish, doesn't it? When you think of it, all ends up. And again, I don't know what Trippier was thinking, if I'm honest with you. I mean, I know sometimes I heard you guys talk about, well, they're there to play football. They're not there to babysit and everything. But, when you're handed the mascot, it's the responsibility of you as the captain on the field of play to put that girl back to the staff that's going to chaperone her away from the field of play. So, like I said, there was definitely a breakdown. Yeah, there was definitely a breakdown.
It's a breakdown of communication somewhere along the line.
I mean, obviously, listen, I ain't going to blame Trippier for not concentrating on the game. I just think, if you're going to be given that role, then you should see it through. That's all I'm saying. Because, like I say, if I was the father of that daughter, there will certainly be something said to the club. But like you say,
and if you were then, as Bokey's just wonderfully suggested, you were then offered, X, Y, Z.
Yeah,
I think you would accept that apology gracefully.
It's not great that Kieran Trippier is supposed to be the captain of 10 other men, and he couldn't even control one 7-year-old girl. Like that was the moment for the rest of the match, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Gary's meant to be in charge. Gary's meant to be in charge of 4 of us. He can do me and win, but Huey's got no chance.
No chance, mate. No chance. Yeah, absolutely no chance. Well, I mean, like I say, I just hope something comes from it. And like I say, this isn't a point of fingers type of situation. It just, like I say, for me, it's a safeguarding situation, and it didn't look great, especially being, open to where everybody could see it, and it just makes us look a little bit tainted. But let's go for what start of the show, I suppose, is the deadline day transfer theatre, if you class it as that. I mean, talk about the players that have been linked on deadline day, and I'm going to stress linked because half of it is just agents earning the coin, isn't it? They link all these players. You hear lots of talk about what's going on behind the scenes, and just to try and get some scope on it. Obviously, we've heard all of the Sandro Tonali. We've heard of, like, obviously Jamal Lascelles being linked to several different clubs, 2 Championship, 1 Premier League. Hayden Hackney from obviously Borough was touted or said to be of interest. Then you've got Frutus. Then you've got a lad called Raul Kumar, which I've never even heard of, to be fair, at Istra, who is apparently considered a very good prospect that they're still keeping tabs of. Then obviously you still had the likes of Fratesi, who has gone elsewhere. Diaz, I mean, they were talking to Real Madrid apparently about bringing Brahim Diaz to the club. Morgan Gibbs-White, as we spoke about, Alex Scott, Lopez, and even John Duran seems to be on the voice. So there was so many different players linked to the club but none of them really seemed true. You've heard all the rumours regarding, what Eddie Howe is doing behind the scenes, and he kept on saying, while the window's still open, there was always an opportunity. But as Colton says, at the end of the day, Sunderland have done better us again in this window. They've picked up another good one. So it's an interesting one.
I mean, what's your the moon's in with a super chat here. Thank you, Dockside.
Yeah, thank you.
Blatantly obvious. We needed signings. We are going backwards.
Yeah, I think certain areas we are struggling, and it doesn't make any sense to me to go into this amount of games with only one true left fullback, only one true right fullback. And if you think about it, yes, we know Murphy can play there, Alex Murphy, who apparently was touted to go on loan, and Eddie Howe refused the offer. But I mean, for me, it's a case of, are we good enough to go forward now with the limited amount of defence we've got? I mean, we are literally, we heard that Botman had taken a knock, Miley had taken a knock. It only takes a couple of knocks, doesn't it? And then you're out for, a foreseeable future. Does Eddie Howe have to change tactics, or does he literally have to just go into the under-21s and see what we can do?
Well, my take on this is, obviously we could have went out and spent money. That's what we did in the summer. We couldn't get the players we wanted, so we went for the next best things. How's that worked out to date? I'm not saying it won't improve, but how has that worked? So if you can't actually sign anyone in this window who you think is really going to have an impact on the team, are you not then just paying more wages and tying up more capital for a player that probably isn't going to have any real long-term impact for us?
I understand where you're coming from, and if that was something like a midfielder or a winger, where you're blessed with a few options. I mean, we've got recurring injuries to Tino Livramento, and again, nobody really knows where his mindset or heart is set going forward. So, I mean, he's not back until March at the earliest. So, for me, there's a lot of pressure on a very wiltering Trippier at right back. And again, when you look at the type of, we've got Miley, who again, how much can he do? Pulling Miley out the midfield, does the midfield now become weaker because we haven't got the natural rear guard action, because we've lost Joe Linton out of that midfield until he's back? So for me, it's a bit of robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I'm really not sure whether that's the way you should be running a club, if I'm honest with you. I agree with you. There should be no small, pieces to fill a jigsaw. They should look at players that are up and coming, that may need a little bit of work. Yes, it's very difficult to try and find them. It's very difficult to pull them from clubs that they're actually currently with, especially if they're on, if they're happy with where they are. But it just makes me wonder how other clubs can do it, and we can't. Because, let's go back to, if I may, before I get to you guys, right now, yesterday, after the game on Saturday, I literally questioned where the club was going regarding not having a striker on board at the start of Liverpool. Now, Anthony Gordon does well in the first 20 minutes, scores his goal, took it well. But when the strikers actually come on, did it change the game? Did it change anything? Did it look as though we were going to get a goal, even with those forwards on? So I wanted to have a deep dive. The first striker that Eddie Howe wanted was Ekatike, and I must admit, I thought he was really good. He'd obviously wanted to play, against Newcastle, and he probably showed his worth and value. But I wanted to deep dive into potential players of a similar ilk. And there was one player, believe it or believe it not, that it come down to, who was already at a PIF-owned club, Al Hilal, and his name was Marcus Leonardo. Now, he is one of the closest you'll get to playing like Ekitike. Take away the goals. I'm not looking at just what goals he scored or anything else. Looking at the way he plays from the inside left position, coming into the middle, very similar to Ekitike. Likes to keep the ball tight to feet. He's a South American lad. I think he's a Brazilian. He's around about 5'10", 5'11". He's not a tall guy, but he's young, 22 years old. And I couldn't believe it when I read all his metrics. I'm typing everything up, and I'm thinking, you know what? Why don't Newcastle, as we're owned by PIF, just go and ask the question? And have a guess who's got him now on loan? Atletico Madrid, with an option to buy for £40 million. Now, I was absolutely gobsmacked, and I'm thinking to myself, you've got a club there that is owned by the same owners. Surely there's got to be a conversation going on between, is he any good? What can he do? And can we have him on loan? And that isn't to say that we are missing anybody, because for me, I still don't think Asula's heart's in Newcastle. Not at the minute. I think he wants out because of the amount of football that he's
who
getting.
can blame him?
And you're absolutely right. He comes on for a bit pot against Liverpool, already, getting hammered. Your head's still not going to be in the right place. But I just couldn't understand, if Eddie Howe wants to take this club forward and risk somebody like that at the club, there was an absolute ideal opportunity to take somebody on loan and just pay some of his wages.
Well, I'll be honest.
Can I just say, I don't think this is down to Eddie Howe. I really don't. I think we've spoken this summer that we didn't have a DOF and we didn't have a CEO. We've got both those guys in place now. There was meant to be a 100-day review put in place, and Wilson's been in post for quite a while now. Why haven't we had players lined up for this window? Why haven't we had players that we knew we wanted to get in, that we could go for? We all know, all four of us sitting around this panel will freely say in the summer we are going to have to buy at least 2, probably 3, maybe even 4 defenders. Why haven't we had defenders in line ready to come in this window? Because basically what we've done is now we've tied Eddie's hands behind his back, because it was obvious he wanted players in. No manager wants to go through a transfer window with signing nothing, and no manager wants to go into the second half of the season with 4 or 5 fit defenders. It just doesn't work. So, I think we can all call out Eddie for some things, but this one to me is down to the new management team in place. Why haven't they got us set up for this window and have been ready just to shoot the bullet and buy the players? But there's plenty of players out there, and I'm sure if they'd put a list of players in front of Eddie's eyes and said, look, we can get these guys, we'll do that. As I say, I'll call Eddie out for some things, but I think this one is down to the new management team and what they've been doing for the last 6 months.
Well, specifically, go on, Tina.
I was just going to say, it was almost comical the way that it's ended up as well, because we've not had a lot of rumours about signings that we've been looking for over the whole transfer window. And then today, our backstaff team apparently contact Real Madrid, ask if we can have Diaz, get told no, and call them back up half an hour later and was like, oh, what about Huijsen? So it's like, we're just like picking random players and just being like, oh, well, can I have this one instead? And that's kind of like testament to what Bogey's saying, of like it hasn't made it look like there was a plan at all.
Yeah, you're right though. But we've always said, and it's always been noted, even from Ross Wilson, that Eddie Howe, he was talking to Chris, and he said Eddie Howe has the final say whether the player comes or goes. So sometimes, as much as I don't agree with somebody having the final say, you also have to take the little bit out of it to say, the only person whose job is on the line is Eddie Howe's. So he has to have some say in it.
I do agree I agree that Eddie should have the final say, by the way. But without knowing anything really about the player that you've mentioned at Al Hilal, who's gone to Athletic, surely there could have been a conversation there somewhere saying, hey, by the way, do you know, Athletic are coming in for this player. And has that conversation even taken place? Because if it hasn't, there's something pretty, substantially wrong about that.
I didn't know anything about this lad, and when you start I'll go into a couple of my old logs and start looking at players from history. And I mean, Foxy's there. He was available for next to nothing when Santos got relegated to Serie B. It's all about timing. Now, Foxy, you probably know a little bit more about this lad than I do, because all I was looking up is balancing metrics about the style of play, using Ekatike, if you like, as a bit of a blueprint to work off. So when his name come up, like I said, I had to then go and have a look at him on videos. And like I say, we've all said that before, YouTube could make even me look great. And that's hard to do, I'll tell you now. So I don't always see that as red, but it does make me think he can't be a bad player if Atletico Madrid have come in for him.
Yeah, but La Liga's different to the Premier League, though, isn't it? I mean,
I agree.
There are a lot of players who do succeed in La Liga who then come up here and do struggle. But also, if you look at it as in a forward, if we were to bring in another forward, would that kind of have a knock-on effect of making it look like to Wissam and Walter Mata that we'd given up on them pretty quickly?
Well,
but then,
no,
because Walter Mata should be the future of the strike force, surely.
Yeah, but it would have been more to Asula, I think, and then maybe if we'd known this at the start of the window, which now goes back to what Borky was saying, that of course we should have been having stuff prepared for then. Borky's referring to defensive players predominantly, but it's also the case that we've known of interest from Frank, but even Aston Villa for Asula. So we're going to need another striker, and
absolutely.
if there's a striker there with potential, who Atletico Madrid are interested in, then surely there could have been at least a phone call saying, are you sure you don't want to have another look at him before we do this deal?
Yeah, there definitely should have been a conversation.
I mean,
I'm not saying that there hasn't been. There may have been, and Eddie might have said no, or Ross Wilson might have said no, we don't fancy him.
No,
but it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. That's for sure.
Yeah, going on what Christina's just said there, though, about does it put other people's noses out of place, like type of thing? It's how you sell it to other players. This is about getting balance to the squad. Like I said, we missed Isak. Right, so Eddie Howe needed to replace Isak. That's why he went for Ekatike, even though obviously Ekatike was on the rail, if you like, even before Isak come on board. Eddie Howe wanted Ekatike, that style of player. Obviously, then he went for Sesko, which again, when you look at the metrics and the way you play, even though Sesko's not really ripping it up in the Premier League yet, is a similar type of player that's still, for me, again, and again, I'll go with what you've said there, Tina, about Serie A, La Liga, whatever, isn't the same animal as the Premier League. And I don't mean that it's not better football. I mean, it's a bit tougher. It's just harder. They do you get roughed up a little bit more in the Premier League. They're tighter onto you. So it's like a case of how do you create space? And that's why I said when I did all these metrics, if you like, it was just trying to get an idea of what Eddie Howe wanted. So why did he go to Voltemada and Worcester in the first place? Because none of them fit the metrics that he went with when you look at Sesko, when you look at Ekatike, or any of those players. So
Pedro
what was the rationale? Umbuemo is more of a right winger, but I mean, it was more the fact that if you look at an out-and-out striker, why did he go for somebody totally the opposite? It didn't make any sense to me, and that's why I said, are we starting to see now what I saw in Voltemada before we bought him? Because I wasn't enamored by everything I saw, and I even said to the Mighty Red, who wanted him, at Newcastle, I was amazed by what I was seeing. I mean, he was scoring goals for fun, and I'm like, wow, I didn't expect this. But it just seems now the Premier League have got a bit canny towards him. You can't see a way forward for him at the moment. He needs some help with another player, and I think by having somebody like him in the squad, what that does free up is system change. You can play more of a 4-4-2 if you want to, 4-2-3-1, whichever way you want to work. And I'm sure that would have helped him, and I'm saying Eddie Howe, then balance the squad a little bit more rather than pushing everybody at 90 mile an hour for 60 minutes and then getting the backside ripped out of them if they haven't got the goal advantage that dominance requires. Even against Liverpool, even against PSG, you look at all that dominance that was going forward. I mean, even the mighty Win said, it's all the metrics is all Newcastle, but we just didn't score. And we never looked like scoring.
We need a striker.
So, for me,
was I saying I am so bored with Newcastle at the minute? There's nothing doing.
Do you not think part of the problem during the summer was that we ended up desperate for strikers, and that's why we ended up with what we did? And what Eddie's done with bringing these lads in is thought he can train them into the way he wants them to play, not the way they naturally play. And it's just not working, especially with Voltemada. It's just not working. That lad's not going to be an Isak type of striker at any point. He's just not that type of player. Wissa probably can do it to a point, but he's like a second-rate Isak, if you like. So we've ended up with a second-rate Isak and a player that is brilliant at some things. You can't see he's not a good player, but he's just not the type of player to fit the system that Eddie wants to play. So I think that's the main problem with the strikers at the minute. We're trying to fit Voltemada into a round peg with a square hole, and Wissa isn't quite to the level. Wissa's a good player, don't get us wrong, but he's not quite to the level of what Isak was. So I think that's the big problem up front is we just haven't. We've replaced one striker with two strikers, and neither of them are proven to be in the mould of what we need for the team, the formation that we'll play.
Yeah,
and I think Wissa made sense. Like if you look at the metric side of last season, he performed as well as, if not better than, Isak, scoring more goals in open play, and he does seem to have that striker's instinct of getting into the box, and he looked like he had a yard of pace. He hasn't really shown it for us, but I can see looking back on it what they saw in Wissa and why they tried to bring him in. Voltemada was I'm guessing just and maybe it's an early recognition of a plan B, but again, hasn't quite worked out yet.
I think what we've seen though, if I'm honest with you, from Wissa, and I think it's been hit on before, is are we looking at Wissa working from Umbuemo's work as Isak did off Murphy? As we keep on saying, it's no good having a phone if you ain't got the charger. You know what I mean? It's like everything else. Isak didn't really pull up any strings before his injury at Liverpool because he wasn't being fed the balls in the right areas. And maybe that's the similar situation that we've got now with Wissa. We just don't seem to have that Umbuemo hitting at the goal as Umbuemo was. And it's, you're right. Wissa, he's always in the type of player who's in the right area to tap in from 6 yards. The problem is we just don't have the wingers that are striking balls towards goals. And that's the biggest problem.
So bringing all that together, we've got Punt Max here, very unfairly, I believe, saying anyone who watched Wissa's goals for Brentford, you'd not pay much for them. They're all flukes and tap-ins. You don't get 19 flukes and tap-ins
No, he did score some good goals.
Without being in the right position at the right time and taking those chances. Now then, he's had quite a few chances this season already for us since he came back from injury that unfortunately he's just failed with, either by excellent saves, hit the bar, hit the post. Just it's not there. But he definitely knows where the goal is, and he definitely gets into the right positions.
But Win, is it a little bit little fish, big pond syndrome in regards to, obviously, they're set up to play for him, his style of play. Newcastle United aren't going to do that. So, he scored a lot of goals because the team played towards him doing that. Whereas at Newcastle, we're not going to set up that way for him to be the main man sort of thing. So was it sort of big fish, little pond? And we've seen it with players that have left Newcastle in the past when we've had good strikers and they went on to meant to be bigger and better things, and they don't achieve what they think they're going to achieve, simply down to the fact that when they were at Newcastle, we played to their strengths, whereas when you go to a bigger club, the bigger club play the way they want to play, and the player isn't quite, isn't used to be having to be play towards the team as well.
Well, you could certainly argue that case with Isaac, I think, but, injuries notwithstanding. And maybe even if you go back in the day to somebody like Andy Carroll, who we, again, geared our total
wasn't the idea, yeah.
To getting them. But apart from them two, I don't think...
Is one
a lot. And again, when you look at those, they were both fantastic bits of business when you think about it.
You can't fault the business that's happened. I mean, like I say, apart from this summer, I mean, to be fair, we've been very good at the business side of things. What about Almiron's golden season? Was that not a bit of a fluke? Because obviously,
but that was a 6-game run.
Purple patch.
That was a purple patch. Wissa did it season long. That's not a purple patch. That shows the kid knows what he's doing. I honestly thought he was going to be our silver bullet. I still haven't given up on Wissa by a long, long way because, as I say, he's missing. When Walter Marder came in at the start of the season, he just never missed. Every chance he had, he put away. And that is not sustainable. It just can't happen. Strikers have to miss chances. Look at Andy Cole, one of the greatest we ever had. He missed chance after chance, but the difference was he scored chance after chance as well. And it's, people hate stats and things, but if you look at our XG, it's abysmal. The XG is not abysmal, but the product is abysmal.
Yeah. Why do you think that our new signings aren't performing to their level in their previous clubs, or as their level in the previous clubs? Is it Eddie's tactics? Is it something deeper? If we solve this issue, we can succeed. And again, I think Eddie's probably hit this one to a degree by simply saying it's different when you've got a whole week on the training field to prepare the lads with the new systems of play. It's very difficult when you've only got 48 hours to do the similar role. And like I said, we've seen snippets of good play from the new players, and I'm more Ramsey, if you like. But again, I've not seen enough to warrant the money that we spent on him. And again, because of what we're lacking regarding quality in depth now, as in with the injuries, what you're getting now is we're just running them into the ground. You're expecting lads to be playing at 90 miles an hour every 3 days. And I think that is virtually impossible. And I think what you're seeing now is a bit of a leveler of where we are as a club, as a squad. And I don't say we haven't got good players. I just don't think if you've only playing with 18 fit players, playing them regular over 8 days, 3 games a week, it's going to tell. You're not going to get the same performance over and over and over again. And again, what we go back to what you were saying before, Christina, about the centre forward. Bringing another centre forward doesn't always allow you then to go and throw Anthony Gordon up top. It gives you that depth where you can rest your players, as the elite clubs do. It makes you think about them then stepping up to say, well, he's performing really well. I need to step up to his level. So it does give people a bit of a kick up the backside. So, like I say, I think for me, there was an opportunity for the club to freshen things up a little bit. And for me, the biggest problem is, and it's as old as football is, unfortunately, pressure builds on the defence when you're not scoring up top. When you're up top and you're scoring for fun, the pressure's off you at the back. And you've only got to look at Liverpool. Look how easy Liverpool played against us once it was going right for them in front of goal. Before that, they looked an average team. But once it started to tick in that penalty area opposite, we looked all over the place. And it only looked like one team was ever going to come away with a win. And unfortunately, that was those in red shirts. Let's move swiftly on. Because sorry, mate, go on.
Just quickly to Christina, do you think we should have brought a few players in this window?
I would have definitely liked us to have brought in some defensive cover. I think midfield and like the forward line were okay at the moment, but I would have definitely liked some cover for Hall or for Livramento. I think there's gaps there that we're all aware of. I mean, the fact is though that we haven't brought anybody in, and we just need to, with the players that we've got, we need to look at realistically getting the best out of them for this season. And maybe part of what happened at the weekend was preparing for the game this Wednesday. We've called ourselves possibly a cup side this season, but we're about to find out how realistic that is. But again, with like Liverpool, for example, it was another one of these things where we've changed up the formation, put out a starting 11 that I don't think any of us expected. For the first 20 minutes, it looked like it was going to be another PSG. So on our day, we've got the squad there, but at the same time, I would have liked somebody instead of Miley and Trippier for right back this week.
I mean, the thing is it sustainable over the period of games that we've got coming? And I think that is the big talking point. I mean, if you look at it, there's angles that we've all said. I mean, you guys hit on it dinner time with the phone in. Newcastle looked busy, but ultimately they stayed quiet. There was lots of information out there on social media from journals saying that we were talking or looking at, or there was a link to a player. But when you looked at the presses and everything else, Eddie Howe always stated that there was nothing coming. So it's Boki made a great one. Every time there's bad news, they seem to come out with good news straight after the event, and it just seems to be keeping you dangling. Keeping that carrot in front of your nose. I mean, again, you talk about PSR handcuffs versus genuine indecision, and I think we know it's not PSR related. We know there's money there. There's still the Isaac money there, and I believe somewhere in the region of 110 million is free to utilise over all of the the expenses, if you like, of agents' fees and God knows what. So I think it's somewhere that I've read 110 million left. So there's no PSR handcuffs, but there's obviously an indecision of where Eddie Howe and his team need to be going forward. And for me, I think they've missed out massively on an opportunity to add short-term firepower. I really do. I don't think Asula's the answer. I think his mind's somewhere else. And as Win has just said and alluded to, I don't think that is, his fault. I just think that is something with the club. Just when he started to look a little interested, they were playing him with an injury, excuse me, and it seemed to knock him even further back.
I saying? There was surely enough time for a loan to buy, for God's sake.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just proved one.
We've got 3 comments that referred to everything we've been talking about, which was Toon Army. Walter Morta wasn't Eddie's first choice. Every time we went for a proper, decent player, we were outbid by the cartel.
Mm.
And then he's saying the mess, this is front marks, the mess was entirely Eddie Howe, who got Mitchell fired so he wouldn't veto his useless transfer targets like Alanga and Ramsey. And Foxy's back in saying nothing about the Wissa deal made sense for me. And I like Wissa, but you don't just drop that type of money on a player who's approaching 30 and his overall game isn't impressive when you take his goals away. But again, the Wissa Walter, as we all know, were like 5th and 6th choices.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was panic buys by that point. Sorry.
So it's the very fact that there were panic buys that haven't set the world alight. Is that not like fair warning for to say, look, we're not going to do the same in January?
Well, I think we need to be learning. We need to be learning from this, don't we? I mean, from all reports today, Tonali and his agent are looking for a route out of town. Yeah. So what we need to be doing now is looking to get replacements in place that for Tonali, so we don't go into a summer like we did last time. We know we could do with another midfielder anyway, so have one lined up, whether there's bids come in for Tonali or not, get a midfielder lined up, get them signed at the start of the window. Then if somebody comes in for Tonali with a massive bid, we've already got the replacement there. And if they don't, then we've got two great midfielders. So it's a win-win situation. You know, we need to learn. We need to learn as a club from where we've gone wrong in the past. And with the Isak situation, if we'd done that, we knew we needed a striker anyway because Wilson was leaving. So why didn't we just get one lined up, ready to come in for that window? And then it takes all the pressure off. The pressure we had in the end was we needed to get two strikers in a short period of time. And that's what absolutely knocked over because teams could could boost the prices up as much as they want and they knew we were desperate. Wissa's a good striker, don't get us wrong, but at his age, you shouldn't be paying £55 million for him. You know, we should have been around the 30, 40 mark. So as I say, let's learn from that and let's have players lined up, get them in at the next window. If Tonali stays, great. If he doesn't stay, then we've already got the replacement in and we're in a better position for negotiating for other players as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a lot of it's speculation regarding, Eddie Howe got this player, this person sacked or whatever. But if I'm honest with you, if I can speculate, because this is all it is, I've got no information to say otherwise. But if Mitchell had done his job in the first place by giving Isak the contract that was promised, maybe we wouldn't need or have a striker issue. Anyway, that, like I say, it's all speculation, and that as water running under the bridge, that's already gone. Let's bring up some more telling news. You've already hit on it, and that's the Arsenal noise, if you like, because at the end of the day, it's not a bid, it's not advanced talks, but it's heavily briefed regarding the Tonali link. And again, if you listen to a lot of, the experts, and I'm going to say experts because I do believe that's what they are. I honestly think that, Fabrizio Romano was right by saying to try and get a deal done from Arsenal with only literally 24 hours to go, with a club the size of Newcastle. We saw how long it took Isak to get sorted. They're not a club to roll over, right? The biggest problem I find now is, are we going to have a problem where a player just doesn't want to play for you? And like I said, we've seen in the past with Tonali that he's probably not been up to speed. You see some brilliance, but then you see, an average player turn up. Is that just a player who, like I say, is tired because of the amount of games he's having to play, box to box type of player? Or is it the fact that his head has been turned to something else? Like you said, for me, Giuseppe Riso has said there was no conversation ever with Arsenal. And then you've got the likes of David Ornstein offered. Sandro Tonali was offered to Arsenal by his agent. explored but no contact with Newcastle United. Nothing will happen this window. 25-year-old camp, but idea to put Andrea Berta so looked into as per any player of interest. NUFC exit now impossible, says David Ornstein. So, like I said, it looks very much as though you've got two camps of this agent, Giuseppe Riso. It looks like he's obviously talking to his player. Players responding, and listen, these guys, like I said, it's a rumor mill, but they get paid to get those rumors across. This is how agents work. So it's an interesting one, and that's what I said. Yes, I can understand Arsenal being interested because they've just lost. Is it Marino? Isn't it? They've just lost with a foot injury.
Yeah.
Our old player, and because of his his control, his press resistant. We know he's the type of Rice player that's probably more etal to that system. So you can see Arteta would like him, but for Newcastle to sell, it would be an astronomical fee, surely.
Indeed. Tony T is saying, and it's got me a bit beat this, how do you bring in the sheaves? Bottom or top 10? Bringing in the sheaves, bringing in the sheaves, we shall go rejoicing, bringing in the sheaves. I've got no idea what that's about, Tony, other than the old hymn.
I don't know, but you might just be about to get a record deal signed now that's went across radio, you singing that, Wayne. Well done.
Absolutely.
I don't know what a sheaves is.
I hope that's got copyright.
Sheaves is the corn when you harvest the corn.
Harvest the corn.
Oh, so maybe what he's saying 10? Is how do you bring in top players? Do you harvest them by being in the bottom half or the top half of the table? Maybe that's what's being said.
Maybe that's what it is. Well done.
Tony, if you can help us out, we'd appreciate it.
That's that was more like a detective program, if I'm honest with you. And my detective days are well gone.
To be fair to Tonali's agent, by the way, though, he has came out and denied it, that there was any contact made to Arsenal. And we do know that transfer deadline day is a day when journalists do prod the fans a little bit. So there is a chance that we're worrying about nothing. In regards to whether Tonali is going to start not wanting to play, though, I mean, are we really in a situation in this day and age where a footballer who should absolutely love playing football can just become a terrible player all of a sudden because he can't get himself up for playing football for a team that he doesn't want to play for? Like, surely, no matter who you're playing for, you're getting paid a lot of money, you're doing what you love, you're a world-class footballer. Surely you just go out there and give it your all, regardless.
Yeah,
I think with Tonali, there's very little chance he's going to come out and say he's not going to play for. Simply down to the issues that he had in the past. Obviously, when he first signed, I don't want to mention them, but in regards to that, I think he's. I think if there's a big club comes in for him, the lad is more than welcome to try to, negotiate a move away. But I don't think he'll go down the same route as Isak as such. I think he's got a lot more respect for the club. And just a quick one on this absolutely nightmare of a Premier League weekend. Sunderland are 2-0 up at half time as well. Everybody listening on the DAB radio.
So they've now gone above us in the table.
Yeah, we've gone down to 11th, haven't we?
Yep.
They're 8th.
Ooh, crikey. Not looking good. But I mean, going back to what you've just said there, Tina, yeah, I mean, I agree. A lot of this is, like I said, hearsay with journal movement. And the only thing that really annoyed me was the fact that you had, the agents coming out saying, I mean, even Sky Sports said, there was no contact between Arsenal and Newcastle, which I believe is true. But why would you get the likes of David Ornstein come out there and say it was his agent that offered him to Arsenal? That's what really does me. It's a case of, it's like they're going behind the backs, if you like, to open up an avenue out. Now, for me, I thought that Tonali was going to go anywhere, and I'm going back a couple of weeks now, perhaps a month or two, where there was lots of talk and speculation around social media, especially about his wife not being happy and wanted to go back to Italy. Now, whether that's a little bit of baby blues, I'm not sure. Sometimes when you're away from your family, you've just had your first child, there is that thing that you want to go back home. Now, whether that is literally her just wanting to go back for a break, or whether it's a long-term thing, I'm not sure. And that's why this doesn't sound right for me. The Juventus link, absolutely fine. I understood that if that part of the family issue was true. I just don't understand, why would you go to Arsenal if you want to go back to Italy?
Travoy's making a very good point, yes. And Romano and Ormstein upset players, and they are paid by the big clubs to unsettle players. They did it to us last summer. Yeah, because they were both clarion calls about Isaac.
Do they get paid by the clubs? Do they, them guys? I wasn't aware of that.
Probably not officially.
Exactly, not officially, but Travoy is saying what we probably all know behind the scenes, if they drop the sweetener, they'll put whatever they're told to.
Now that one Dab Radio, do I have to maybe say allegedly when we say
allegedly
like that?
Yeah, allegedly. Yeah. Another thing it could be, though, if you want to go down the route of conspiracies, just Newcastle United fans. If you're looking to get some interaction on transfer deadline day, who are you going to prod? You're either going to prod Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans, or Newcastle fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it might have just been a case of, let's just wind the Geordies up.
Click, 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 click.
I think that's the problem in this window for any Newcastle journalists or anybody who covers Newcastle is there's been so little happen that they are having to find things to write about. So sort of a lot of what's being written about now is sort of what would be the quickest, did you say, win? Clickbait for? So, you can understand from their point of view, that's their living, that's what they have to do. And if you've got a source, so even if your source is some numpty on Facebook or something that's making something up and just put it on as a header, then you can use that as a source because you have read it somewhere.
Yeah.
So, are they just making stories up, as I don't like to say it, but making stories up so that they get some views in that regard? Because let's face it, I mean, this window, if you were a Newcastle journalist, a Newcastle solely journalist, or somebody who focused in on Newcastle, what you had to write about, we're not going to sign anybody. That would be the headline and the article, basically.
Yeah, that's been like that for the last 3 windows, hasn't it? Apart from the sun. I mean, I'm sure that we talk about yesterday's chip paper. I mean, we don't have papers anymore, so it's for me. You're right. I mean, there's lots of speculation, and I'm going to say that lots of speculation about Romano having backhanders from clubs to try and upset, and turn heads. Let's just say that of players. That is, like I say, that's something that's been talked about by several other media outlets now. About he's got links to certain elite clubs because he always seems to talk about the same club over and over and over and over again.
Again, can we pop allegedly in there, Gary?
I did say that. Allegedly.
Oh, that's fine.
I did say that at the start. Right, I mean, like I say, time is against us a little bit. We've got a few more bits and pieces to get through, so I'm sure we've got everything that we need to talk about regarding that. Like I said, he's still a Newcastle player, and for me, that is enough. I just hope we see the Tonali that we saw at the start back, because, like I say, that'll mean the world to me.
On a lighter note, we've got Becca DJ saying, one of our popular contributors, my dad's favourite crossword clue is overworked postman. How many letters, Becca? Hundreds and thousands.
Oh, wait, I just got that. That's actually quite funny.
Classic.
Indeed, a classic.
So, what do you guys think of the Lascelles situation then? Because I mean, I couldn't believe what I was reading over the last.
Hang on 2 seconds. We've got Tony and saying,
go on.
I'm just playing silly buggers. It was this song and bang on win. It was a bundle of something. Top 10 or bottom 10 was relating to prediction on our finish. So Tina was spot on as well.
Well done, you guys. Superb. That's what I said. It was doing my marbles in. I'm thinking, hold on, we've got playing detective here. So what do you guys think of the Lascelles situation then? Because obviously we heard that Eddie Howe said that he wasn't fit or his body didn't feel right, and we did make an assumption that maybe he was holding him back because of a potential move away. Maybe that, in honor of him being at the club for almost 12 years. And like I said, he's been through the highs and lows at the club. And like I say, I wish the lad all the well. This isn't anything against him. But in our current climate, again, it's getting rid of probably a player that's, a bit long in the tooth now, probably not up to the mark. And maybe Eddie Howe sees that. And keeping him will just be, like I said, it's just paying wage that we don't need to pay. And especially with this new squad cost ratio coming out next summer. So there's lots to it, though. He turns down West Ham, he turns down Birmingham, and chooses Leicester City. But if he wasn't deemed fit enough to play a single competitive minute for Newcastle, how is he fit enough to go to the Championship and a promotion push if his body isn't up to it?
Well, I think his body is up to it. Now we're seeing for quite a while with the reasons that Eddie was given for him not going. I think we're looking after him. And unlike the Rat, I wish him every success because he's been a terrific servant for the club. And, as Boki has said on many, many occasions, we've got players sitting on the bench or around the bench who are never going to get a game. So what is the point in paying their wages? And so I wish him well, and I thank him for his service.
Yeah, I just think it could have been handled better. Testimonial. Obviously you can't fit any more games into our schedule. I understand that, and I'm sure there will be something sorted for him. But it just feels a little bit, again, sneaky, if I'm honest with you. It's like one of the leaders of the dressing room quietly ushered out the side door. You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel quite right because...
I think it's just a recognition of his... of his
So
service.
Has he actually left? Because I've been keeping a check on the internet, and there's nothing actually came through saying he's signed. There's nothing from Newcastle officially. There's nothing on Leicester's officially, and there's nothing on Sky Sports saying that he's actually signed for them.
Well, I believe our Lord and Master this morning when he said it was a done deal.
I don't know if I've missed it, but I'm sitting here looking. There's nothing on the Newcastle official website. There's nothing I can see on Leicester's website, and there's nothing on Sky Sports saying he's gone. But anyway, while Wynne looks that up, in regards to this, he has been a brilliant servant of the club. He was never the best Premier League defender, let's be honest, but he stood up in that changing room when things were going wrong, and he was the one that had the kahunas to go in and say, "Look, I'm a young player, but I'm not happy with what's going on here. We need to change it." And I mean, his signing from, was it Nottingham Forest with Caldolo that he signed at the time?
Yeah.
Them two players did, in challenging times for young players, did this club proud. So whatever he goes on to do.
Was he not on loan at Forest?
No, I think they signed the two of them from Forest, didn't they? They were a joint deal.
Lascelles came from Forest,
Lascelles, he came from Forest, didn't he? Okay.
Yeah. So I just think it's a big thank you to Lascelles, and I think he's overstayed the time that he should have been here. I would have potentially got rid of him either last summer or last winter transfer or in the summer. But there's nobody can turn around and deny what that lad's done for the club. So really well done. And I hope he goes on to have a great end of career with Leicester City if he has signed for them. So that would be great.
Tony's saying most people go with a whimper, not a bang, Gary.
Yeah, but when you've been, like I say, you've been at the club 12 years. I mean, there's three players now, isn't there, that have that have been over 500 appearances for the club, and I'm trying to think.
The latest I've got here, by the way, is yes, Jamal Lascelles is set to sign for Leicester City, but as of the latest verified reports, the move is agreed, and he has been given to undergo a medical. This could be the key. The transfer has not yet been announced, but all sources indicate it is effectively done pending final confirmation. Could it be that the medical has unearthed something to change Leicester's mind?
Well, like I say, I think you'd have heard that. I think the thing is, as long as you've got all the paperwork,
the deal is essentially done. It's saying,
yeah, before 7 o'clock, there doesn't seem to be anything stopping you, even if it goes beyond 7 o'clock, to continue with the contract. And I'm sure if there was an issue, I mean, who was that player that I'd read recently? Was it Mateta that had a double medical, and it was told it was a no-no? I'm sure it was. I think he failed a medical for some unknown reason. That's why the deal wasn't.
This latest move to Nottingham Forest?
No, it was abroad to Serie A, wasn't it?
Milan. He was.
He had two medicals for some unknown reason. Whether one was for Forest or one was for Milan, I don't know. But it looked like there was some issue there, because it just says double medical and agreement void. So, like I said, there's definitely potential. Well, say definitely. That's the wrong word.
As I say, though, Gary, I wasn't arguing with anybody saying that Lascelles had been sold, but I hadn't read anywhere that it had actually happened.
No. Like I said, everything's been done before 7 o'clock. So, like I say, whether they're just waiting for all the photographs and everything else to, do it right, Leicester way. He's certainly going to a better training ground, put it that way. That's a certain fact. Now, I wanted to ask you guys, because like I say, I've seen the time ticking on, and the one thing that really bugged me a little bit recently was our away form. Our away form at Newcastle seems to be very, very wrong. And when you look at some of the situations, now, again, I haven't looked to clarify this, so please bear with me, right? But from what I can gather, Newcastle have won just 6 of their last 50 away games against teams in the top 12 of the Premier League, spanning around 4.5 seasons. So let's go. There was nothing in 21-22, because obviously Eddie Howe didn't come until a bit later on. 22-23, Fulham, Brentford and Spurs. 23-24 was Villa. 24-25 was Forest. 25-26 was Everton. That's how poor our away form has been in teams in the top 12. That to me is scary. It's scary by all manner of suggestion. You can call it form, you can call it tactics. For me, it certainly isn't. It certainly isn't teams that have found Eddie out, because this has been happening in his second season when we did really well, finishing 4th. But we've just seemed to have, again, I can only put it down to a system of play where teams can just knock the ball over the top and go on and score against us, especially at their place. Why is our away form so poor against top sides, or the top 12 sides under Eddie Howe? Has anybody got an answer for that?
I'm a bit worried with them stats, Gary, because I think 7 out of the next 8 games are away from home as well. So
yeah, and they're all,
it doesn't bode well.
They're all in the top 12. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, but no, I think with that, I think all teams struggle away from home. It's a natural thing, but we do seem to have this thing about with that. We do seem to rely a lot on the home form. And let's face it, if you've got the Newcastle fans behind you and you're at home, you're going to do that because you're going to get that extra 10% boost from having those home fans cheering you on every week, who are absolutely brilliant. Let's face it. I don't care what anybody says. We've got the best fans in the league, and we've got the best atmosphere ground in the league when we're on the
100%.
ball on a game. Yeah, but in regards to away games, is it a little bit now that we need to start to develop the way the team plays? So I mean, Eddie's proved with that back three. I mean, the back three against PSG was brilliant. So is that maybe a tactic that you do away from home? That you do that, and you sort of you adapt the attacking players to in regards to having a really strong defence? Because I mean, I think Byrne, Botman, and Chow as a back three, and if you've got Tino fit and Hall fit, that then gives you a hell of a base to go on away from home and try to get a result. So I think it's about development now as a team. We need to start to learn how to play away from home. I think because of the limited resources that Eddie's had in his squad over the last few seasons, he's had to just play the same style of football because that's been his best sort of option. But I think now we need to start to develop and play the type of football that we do at home and the type of football that we do away from home. And he's proved in the past he can do it. Yep, and he's proved in the past he can do it.
Wookie, are you on drugs?
What?
You're just suddenly becoming
Shining
very
a
mellow
light.
towards Eddie.
Do you know what? I'm trying to be a little bit. I know we've got Eddie to the end of the season now, so it's a waste of time me coming on here night after night just saying Eddie out, the boring stuff. So till the end of the season, I'm going to back him, if I'm honest. Right? I'm not going to come on here night after night, night after night and say Eddie out. Doesn't mean I don't think
Gary's on the turn, by the way. I've noticed.
No. But it doesn't mean I don't think he still needs to be replaced, because I do. But at this point, unless we go on an absolutely terrible run, there's absolutely nothing that's going to happen to change Eddie at the club. He's going to be in charge to the end of the season. And what people sometimes forget in the chats and when we're talking about things is all of our Newcastle fans. So yes, sometimes I'm a little bit negative in regards to what's happening. That's because I want what's best for Newcastle United. So at this point, as I say, I'm not going to come on here night after night and call Eddie out and do that. So that's that point covered.
Well, I am absolutely staggered by those, because I've just double checked, and 28 games. This is against the teams that finished top 10. 28 games away from home. 1 win, 6 draws, 21 defeats, 20 goals scored for, and 69 conceded.
Yeah.
So that's more. That's an average of more than 3-1.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Because obviously it's only been really this season that we are Well, again, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because I often am. But for me, it seems very much as though we're only highlighting our away form this year. But actually, when you go and have a look and you have a bit of a deep
3
dive,
full seasons starting 21-22.
Yeah, it's happened literally from the time he walked through the door. He just seems to be a type of style of football that just doesn't suit going away.
The only thing I would say about that, by the way, is that it just shows how well we do play against the teams for us to have finished where we have done.
Yeah.
It not only does it show we've got brilliant home form, which we all know about, but it also shows that we do things that our rivals can't do, which is maximize results against the bottom teams.
Yeah,
to be fair as well,
year we haven't done that, have we? Sorry, but Christina.
I was just going to say, to be fair, if you're going to finish in the top half of the Premier League, you expect to have good home form. So not having good results away to teams that finish in the top half of the tables maybe is not as bad as it sounds, although it does sound quite terrible.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the old adage used to be, win your own games, and if you can get a draw away, you've done well. But those days have gone now, especially if you want to be, in the elite bracket, talking towards the top end, talking into Europe and things like that, and going cheek to cheek with the elite European sides, and that's what I'm saying. For me, you're just looking back at certain systems, and you start saying to yourself, surely the system of play is failing because it's failed from day one. So if you are, again, we talk about Einstein's definition of madness. If you can't see it now, when are you going to see it? I tell them, you're right, Boki, you play with 12 players because you've got the crowd drawing you on. You get that 5% bounce. But you don't get that away from home, especially against, I've gone top 12. I mean, if you look at the top 10, it's probably even worse.
Well, I've only checked top 10, but here's the thing. I've now just done exactly the same for Aston Villa.
Got to be the same.
And what do you think Aston Villa, with the master, Mr. Emery, in charge is? Played 28, won 2, drawn 4, lost 22.
Yeah. And that's what I said.
Villa, how long is that over win?
That's the last 3 full seasons. Away from home.
They've only won away from home twice in the last.
Twice.
Against the top 10.
Against the top 10 teams.
Yeah.
The teams that finished top 10 in that particular season.
Yeah, that's a
Aston Villa have only won 2.
I think this is a difficult point to try to sort of pull up on, because in regards to that, we know the Premier League's a really, really competitive league. And, when you talk about the top 10, you're talking about obviously the top 6. So you've got to try to beat them. And then you're talking about good teams under them as well. It'd be interesting to know how many draws there were in those games as well. So, how many points,
two wins and 4 draws.
2 wins and 4 draws. So it's not great record.
We were 1 win, 6 draws.
But I mean, even if you look at the top teams in the league, I would think that some of them would be sort of, around that mark. It's a difficult. I think when you start, I think when you try to sort of start breaking the Premier League down into that sort of minuscule sort of detail, you are going to pick up some strange points. But I think end of the day, what you have to look at is where teams finish in the league, so how they are doing, and that's the only way really of judging them. And in regards to this, I think Eddie over the last few seasons done well. This season's been a real disappointment in regards to Premier League form, and we really, really need to start picking that up. My major concern at this point is how bad February could go or how good February could go. I don't know about you guys. But I think February could be an absolute. The way it started in February could be an absolute nightmare of a month for us.
Oh, it could be a crazy month.
What's that shit? Wind looks like Blofeld in that dog. Just needs a cat. Lends a cat, Tina.
Lends a cat.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Bond.
Yeah, we should be doing that mini-me.
I didn't even get the reference until you said the Bond thing, and then I'm like, oh, it's a Bond villain.
Yeah,
Boki, just to flip that point around though, so February could be a terrible, terrible month, but if we do pull off a miracle against Manchester City and we beat Aston Villa, February could be a fantastic month for our cup form.
Just here, these stats that we've just been discussing. How about the mighty Arsenal? 28 games against the top 10 clubs. 6 wins and 6 draws. out of 28.
Yeah.
Say also, I mean, it is just playing away to top half teams is just difficult. I mean,
it's just hard. That's what I said. It's just hard. And again, the reasons why I brought it up wasn't the fact that I didn't think any other teams had nothing similar. It was the fact that for this season and this season only seemed to be the catalyst of what's happened to our away form. Well, it hasn't changed. That's what I'm trying to get at. So if people are starting to look at the systems of play under Eddie Howe and saying that it's working, it hasn't worked from day one. So for me, it's a case of just trying to get a mentality on, as Boki said, changing it up a little bit for the away form. Already goes that light bulb moment. What do you think?
Manchester City.
Go on.
The treble winning side. Away results against the top 10. 28 games. 3 wins. And 13 draws. That's where they've done better than everybody else. 13 draws.
13 draws.
So maybe this backs up what Gary's
saying. Only 3 wins. Now I am staggered at that.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, isn't it? How difficult it is to win games away from home, and I think people just need to realise that, like I said, this isn't a new thing. This is something that's literally gone year after year after year, and I'm sure there'll be other clubs following the same trend. If you think Man City have won the trophy umpteen times, Liverpool, now it could be Arsenal's turn, but it's because everybody else has moments where they just cannot win. I mean, Liverpool's actual record before they played Newcastle was absolutely awful. And they go and turn us over as if we were...
Does this not partly prove why we need to win, like the games against Wolves when we're away from home, who aren't in the top 10?
We are winning.
We need to win the games against Aston Villa.
Well, we drew, didn't we?
At home.
Well, this season.
We need to win the games against Aston Villa when we're at home. Your home form's so important. You've got to win those home games. Yeah. You've got to win. And when you are playing teams that are a lot less than you, and let's face, Wolves are probably going down this season. They are down. So surely you have to start to learn that there are certain games that you must win. A draw against Wolves isn't enough. A loss against Aston Villa at home isn't acceptable. Because as we're learning now, once you're starting to play the big teams away from home, or even the mid-table teams away from home, you're not going to pick up many points against them.
No.
Liverpool against the top 10 teams for the last 3 full seasons, 1 win and 6 draws.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? That's what I'm saying.
I was just
hang on. We're sure that's right. You can't win a Premier League game. So how many games? That means you can't win over 3 seasons. Only won 1 away game
against the top 10.
Against the top 10
does sound low.
Hang on. How many times did they win at St James's Park?
Was we top 10?
Were you in the
morning? I don't like disputing we win, but I think some of these facts might be wrong here.
All the same metrics for all the teams: season 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24.
It'll certainly be something that we'll have to dig deeper into.
I think we're going to have to look into that. I think this is a VAR one.
A VAR one. Yeah, it's certainly something we'd have to do. Yeah. Tony, thanks ever so much for your £2, matey. But Win probably is beating mid-low teams. And I think that is it. You look at the problems we had last season, the likes of Fulham, that was, that mid-table. We just can't get results against those type of teams in and around us at the moment, and that is where we seem to hook up. We have this tendency of going, you're right, picking up points against the bottom clubs. I think Newcastle have always done well against. But teams in that mid-table slot where they're not fighting for promotion, they're not, as in, the Europe, I should say, rather than promotion, or they're nowhere near relegation battle, they come out and play free-flowing football. But what happens with Newcastle, it seems as if we have to just turn up and we're automatically going to win the game. We just don't seem to ever push ourselves against that and that's what I said. I agree with what Tony's saying there. I think that, to me, is probably where Newcastle have had an element of poor management to a degree.
It's got to be that if you're playing a bottom half of the bottom side of the team, bottom half of the Premier League team, you have to beat them. There's no if you want to get Champions League football or you want to progress as a club, you have to beat the lower teams. And let's face it, there is some dross in the Premier League. There are some teams that aren't good enough, and sadly, it's especially normally the teams that come up. I think your first target when you're a Premier League team is to beat the 3 teams that have come up. Simply down to, and Sunderland's a slightly different fact because of the derby, obviously side of it. But normally you need to beat them 3, and you need to beat the ones that are going to be hanging around them at the bottom of the league. If you're not beating them, then it's not acceptable. Basically, you've got to be beating lower side teams. And while Wynn's typing away there, can I just say, I'm sure Newcastle have been beat by Liverpool over the last 3 seasons in regards to the Premier League, and we finished top 10. So them facts can't be right.
Nunes comes to mind.
Yeah,
when they were down to 10 men.
No, I think what it's proven is that we are doing well, as are all the other teams, of course, against the bottom teams. And the fact that we finished where we finished means that that's exactly what we are doing. And as I've always said, any away point in the Prem is a good point, which is why Man City, with the 13 draws, have done so well. Yeah. Because that's 13 points that we didn't, well, 7 points that we didn't get.
I suppose it's all according when you play them as well, isn't it? Because obviously the table moves, especially around from 5th onwards down the pecking order. I think if you look at it, if Liverpool, say, played us when we were beyond the 10th mark, which wouldn't surprise me, that's why that number probably doesn't come up in the metrics a little bit. But again, who knows? It does. It just baffled me when I was looking at it. I'm like, wow, that is incredible. I suppose the only thing that we need to ask now, if I'm honest with you, we're coming the last couple of minutes of the show, is what comes next. If you look at Newcastle, what they must do now in the summer window, because according to it, they have got this big pot of gold. Priority positions, centre back, right wing. There's still a problem for me on that right wing. It just isn't happening. We're not getting enough XG assists from that right wing. Striker depth, have we got the right people? Again, is there another striker that we've just let go through our fingers that could have potentially come on loan and then bought at a cheaper rate? And is this season salvageable? Are we now just concentrating on cups and trying to get momentum in cups? And I think, at the end of the day, the simple answer, if you're absolutely honest, is, are Newcastle moving forward, standing still, or slipping back?
Come on then, Christina. Who would you sign players for? Which positions would you sign players in this summer?
Centre back, right back, left back. That's the areas I think we need. I'm not as bothered about right wing. I think Alanga will come good. I think Walter-Moore and Wiesel both come good. The worry for me is the full back positions and the centre backs.
Yeah, I agree. Like I say, I think there's certainly areas that they should have done better. And here they are, ladies and gentlemen, the late team.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Good evening, Ian and Christopher.
Super Mac. He switched it. He switched it to Super Mac.
Yes.
Shambles, this channel, man. Impersonating proper legends. The Mighty Win versus
you, Christina, or nobody else.
The Mighty Win versus Super Mac. Wouldn't that be a show? Well, unfortunately, the Mighty Win, the proper Mighty Win is long gone. But neither here nor there.
Not long gone. Recently gone, sadly.
Well, yeah, but that means win.
We are knackered.
That's basically what it means, man. We can't either way. We got the fake Super Mac here. Hopefully he'll speak like Super Mac. We don't know. Hopefully, but maybe we need to have the Mighty Win and Super Mac show. We need to have the Mighty Win Super Mac show going at it. Wasn't that a debate back in the day? Which one would start? Or no?
No, they were different.
No, Mighty Win is way before, right? Who was Super Mac debate? Or was he not? There was not a debate with Super Mac.
No, John Tudor and Super Mac together all the time.
Oh yeah, that was well, that was way before my time. Anyway.
Gordon Lee took over. When Gordon Lee took over as manager and preferred Alan Gowling, he forced Super Mac out, and he remains.
Yeah. Gordon Lee did a Kenny Dalglish. Took over a team that was a player short of the champion of the winning the league as it was then, not the Premier League. But that cup final team that we had proceeded to decimate it.
There you go. Anyways, late night show.
Don't think about those days.
No. Maybe we need to, man. Those are the days with Newcastle United with standards.
Those were the days, my friend.
Those were the days, man. Those were the days. The late night show starting now.
Tell
folks.
you what,
if
you let Win sing for too long, the standards will be plummeting.
Oh, there you go. Let's start with
as
the
will
late
the
night
viewers
show.
and listeners.
That's right. That's right.
Set up for maximum confrontation and super opinionated debates. The NUFC Late Night Show with Chris the American Man, Derek the Mighty Win, and the rest of the panel Monday through Thursday from 9:30 p.m. UK and UFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army.
The voice of the Toon Army, ladies and gents. How are you, fellas? We got Super Mac. We got Win. I gotta say Super Mac, Ian. I'm all confused here. We got the Mighty Win, Ian, Roy, and King Kev. I'm thinking even King Kev. What is this, man? What is this, man?
And Roy of the Rovers from Dubai.
This is a parody account for the Toon Legends. We don't know. But listen, the late night show starting now. Don't forget to smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Become a member if you can. $4.99 get you everything. All the shows that we are looking to implement and that we're working hard to bring to you. So become a member so you can enjoy everything. And, well, another transfer window is gone, done and dusted. And Newcastle United didn't bring anybody in. So what do we need to say about that? I mean, that's we got the Tonali news to talk about with the panel, of course, and Lascelles leaving Newcastle United after 12 years. Some people going on about testimonial, like that's why sometimes Newcastle fans just annoy me. I mean, listen, wonderful lad. I'm sure he's a cool guy. You know, whatever. 12 years is nothing to not be proud of. But he's no Toon legend, man. Relax. Testimony. We only did testimony for like what, 2 players? Shearer and Jackie Milburn.
No. And when lots of testimonials.
I cut my teeth.
Oh, but Jinky Smith. Jinky Smith, maybe.
No, he never got one.
He didn't?
Tony Green.
What about Super Mac?
But hang on. Let's remember that back then.
Yeah, I remember everything, man. But
no matter how you put the sort of money that they're on now, they were on very good money by a working man's standard.
You know, you're trying to make the case for it.
Once they finished football, you know, they became postmen. A lot of them became publicans, post officers, news agents, milkmen. Dozens of them became milkmen. The
sports shops.
No, but what's that got to do with? What's that got to do with the testimonial, man? You going on and on and on about
because then they deserve testimonials.
Why? You want to know you're going on somewhere that has nothing to do with a testimonial, man. What do you do for Newcastle United? There's nothing wrong with the testimonials per se to a nut, but you can't give it to Lascelles, man. The Coloccini deserves one before. Solano deserves one before Lascelles would. No. Rob Lee would deserve one before Lascelles.
They're wrong.
Yes, they would, man. Super Mac would deserve one before Lascelles. No, I'm not wrong, man.
Steve Harper.
The big difference is that Lascelles has been here for 10 years plus.
Yes.
And
the players you're mentioning.
It has to be about 10 years plus for a testimonial.
It's 10 years. You do it 10 years, you get your testimonial.
No. You got what has Lascelles done for Newcastle United?
That's the
rules. To the point where he deserves it. No, it's not such thing as rule.
Lascelles stepped up when he was 21.
Well, that explains a lot, doesn't it?
Captain.
I'm Newcastle United. I'm not giving anybody that playing a championship a testimonial. How about
we
that?
were there. That's all he could do. He couldn't play the Premier League level. He was at
I appreciate Lascelles. Lascelles, wonderful kid. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he loves his mama. He loves his daddy. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he appreciates his granddad. I'm assuming he's a wonderful lad. Got nothing to do with Newcastle United giving testimonials for free, man. How way, man? You're putting him on the same pedestal as Alan Shearer.
No, it's not on the same pedestal. It's just you've served us for a decade. You stepped up when nobody else kind of wanted to. You didn't leave the sinking ship when everybody else left us when we went down to the championship.
No, he did fine, and I appreciate that. But if you're gonna use that to counter me, then I'll just tell you that if any proper team would have came for Lascelles, he would have been gone. So come on, man. Don't make me be the bad guy.
It's not about being a good player. You don't get a testimonial for being a legend. You get a testimonial for that 10 years, that decade of service to the club, isn't it? It's a thank you for giving us a decade. You know, it's a long time in a career. You're right. If he could have went elsewhere, like most players would, but thank you for serving us for 10 years and doing good by us. And it's just a nice little classy thing, isn't it? Shearer didn't get a testimonial because he was a GOAT. Shearer got a testimonial because of his years of service. So it depends on what you go for, I think.
Nah, man. Shearer got a testimonial because he's a GOAT.
Again, it's like a gold watch.
It's like a gold watch. Exactly 10 years.
At the same company for 20 years.
Back in the day, the transfer system meant...
Ain't got nothing to do with it.
Because the player...
I can't stand this.
The player used to get the player used to get 5% of any transfer fee. So by sticking with the club, he wasn't getting any of those 5%. So when Supermac went to Arsenal for £333,000, £333.33, he got whatever, 15,000 grand, which was a lot of money in those years. And quite right too.
Yes, indeed.
You still going?
I deserved it.
Michael's put him, Shola should have had a testimonial, and I couldn't agree more. Shola's testimonial should have been against Sunderland, and he should have just scored every penalty.
That wouldn't have participated, definitely. but look, we should. There you go, Shola. And you win. Should we have done a testimonial for Shola? You don't even exactly.
Absolutely, we should have.
Exactly.
That's poor. That's really poor from him.
Exactly, man. How way?
I'm Eddie Howe now.
No. Oh wait, man. No, listen. Exactly. You just answered the same question that I've been my exact point. Oh wait, man. Anyways, but yourselves. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
The answer is yes.
Good. Good. No, you wouldn't. That's not what you thought. Good looking lad too, you know what I mean? Wonderful center back. Amazing. Just amazing lad. Whatever, you know. All of that. Send him a good card. You know, I don't know. Invite him twice a year or something. The stadium is tight. Can't really give tickets out or seats out for free no more. But you know, it's wonderful stuff. And Steve, go to sleep, man. Neither here nor there. Anyway, we're live on radio as well on DAB in Newcastle upon Tyne. So if you're driving, if you're listening, if you're taxiing around, if you're getting around the tune right now, thank you for listening. And don't forget, you can find us on YouTube as well, NUFC Talk TV. Thank you to all listening on radio as well. Good stuff. And smash the like button. How way? Anyway, lads, another window. And somebody said Gillespie with a testimony. Gillespie, exactly. What about that Man City goalkeeper? He's been there for 1,000 years. The third backup. So
Carson, I don't know if Carson's been there for 10 years. It'll be close.
No. Is he going to get? Do you think that a proper club with standards are going to waste people's times with organizing a testimonial for a third goalkeeper just because he put 10 years in?
Yeah,
and
he's a big part of a club, Chris.
No.
He's a big reason why we won the treble.
But that's the point, Chris.
No,
It's a testimonial. So if the punters, the fans don't think they're meritorious of it, then they don't go to the testimonial, and that reflects
you know what?
how much they earn.
How much money you want to put that Lascelles will
Steve
not get a
Harper
testimonial?
got one, didn't he? Did Steve Harper got a testimonial? I think. Did he?
I don't think so. I saw Steve Harper by the way in that event. Well, he's in charge of the academy. So
it wasn't a testimonial.
I don't think he got a. As far as I knew, Alan Shearer's the last one that ever got a testimonial. I don't. I mean, because he's the GOAT, of course. If you combine, how many years Solana put in? If you combine his both, like 8 years. Can we do a little? Can we do it? No. Yeah. 8 years, yeah, he did, man. From 99 to 2000 and what? I'm gonna look for.
He left and came back twice.
Oh, he came back. No, once, not twice.
Yeah, he played twice. I mean, so he went. When's the second one? 2005.
So he did 98 to 2004, and then he did 05 to 07. So that's
7.
That's 7 years. So can we do a little, honorable mention to slide him in? 7 years.
You can have an honorable mention, but you can't have a testimonial because not 10 years.
No. That's just come on, man. Anybody
I
get
love
10
Nobby.
years, man.
Nobby's one of my favorite players, legend. But the testimonials for 10 years service, isn't it? That's the number you have to reach to be able to get a testimonial. So,
Peter said Harper got a testimonial. There you go.
There we go.
I've done my research now, right? Steve Harper's testimonial match, September 11th, 2013, to celebrate his 20-year career, featured Newcastle United Legends 11 against an AC Milan side. 50,000 fans attended. So, your reserve goalkeeper sometimes does command a big crowd for his testimonial.
Yeah.
Told you, the testimonial is there, and you earn it for being there for 10 years.
10 years.
So
the criteria isn't if you were fantastic or you were world class. The criteria is 10 years.
I just asked you a question then. Is the mighty win goalkeeper for Man City, is he going to get a testimonial when he's done?
If he's been there 10 years, he should, but he probably hasn't been there 10 years.
I don't know.
Well, he's going to be. He's never going to retire. He got the best seat in the house.
He's 45.
He's got the best seat in the house, and he got a season ticket for Man City. Watches him everywhere.
Greatest job in the world, Scott Carson. I'd kill for Gillespie's job at Newcastle, to be fair.
Well, there you go. Gillespie. How long has Gillespie got in?
Nah, he's only got about 5, 6 years, Gillespie, maybe.
That way, he's looking at his calendar and be like, look, 4 more years, baby. 4 more years. And I'm going to get my testimony.
That's what Scott Carson needs. Scott Carson's been at Man City from 2019. So he needs...
Come on, man.
Scott Carson needs 3 more years.
Anyways, so another window and no signings. So, I mean, a lot of criticism. Even some people that were... And this might be the agenda, of course. Some people were trying to be close to the club. And now that the club's changed direction as far as the DOF and the CEO, now they're, where's the DOF now? Russ Wilson. They're starting to criticize some of these people that were happy clapping before. But that might be an agenda. Either way, what do you guys make of this window with no signings? Surely we could have used a signing. We were late into this kid, according to Craig Hope, that, let me see here, the midfielder Patrick Zabi, that quickly... he was told that it's off and it's not happening. Of course, that was very, very late in this window. And we were even yesterday, there were just people talking about we were still thinking about Target. So, leave it to Newcastle to the transfer window being about bringing back a player that we have already. So what do you guys make of it? Are you happy? Are you not happy? What's going on? In your perspective,
if I could say it, because I was very surprised. I've heard the PSR arguments and thought, well, fair enough. If we can't, we can't. They're saving it for the summer. But driving back just before the show, I've been listening to Talk Sports Deadline Day program, and Stefan Borson, the financial expert, who knows a thing or two about PSR, went through, explained why Villa couldn't do anything because they're close to the edge and they've already made one breach of the European levels, so that they'd end up banned from Europe if they do it again. Then said he was completely bemused by Newcastle putting PSR out as a reason not to sign anyone. The thing is that the transfer fee we got in for Isak would free up enough money for us to spend another 200 million if we wanted to stay within PSR. So the excuse given that we're going to breach PSR guidelines in this transfer window is rubbish. And I am concerned, not necessarily because we haven't bought anybody, because we need anybody. I'm concerned that PIF might be tightening up the purse strings because they're not as interested in pushing Newcastle to the very top as they were when they took over. What do you think of that? That's a sign, is it not? They won't spend out when they can.
Well, the fact that people might think that we don't have money, I think that's wrong.
No, I think we've got money, but I think what they don't want to do in this window is what it looks as though they did do in the summer, where out of desperation, they've signed somebody because they couldn't get the players that they wanted, really. They've went and got next bests, and as of yet, those next bests are proven to be inadequate. So I think that they're reticent to repeat that mistake. On top of which, it could well be that PIF have decided, the way the season's gone and the way things have happened and the things that everybody's talking about, that maybe this is Eddie's last stand. So they aren't giving him the final say on who we get in. And I think that could be very...
I think...
go on, Kev. Sorry, mate. You go.
I think, personally, we've got to be careful because, obviously, I know PSR at the minute is due to change next season, where it's 85% of your revenue you can spend. So maybe we're looking ahead in terms of, I don't know what the wages are like at the moment at the club. I'm assuming Volta, Ramsey, Wissa, Elanga are all on pretty decent wages. And obviously, if it's 85% of a revenue you can spend, then that will start to change for next season. So I don't know if you can kind of bank money going forward. I'm not 100% sure. But squad cost ratio is what comes in, SCR, because, it has to have some sort of shortened down version. But with SCR coming in, it could be linked to that. But personally, I would have loved to have seen a signing. I would have loved to have seen a centre-half. But let's be honest, right? These rules, which are in place now for us, if you go back 3 or 4 years when the takeover went through and you watch the Amazon documentary, Amanda Staveley says rules were brought in to stop Newcastle United. So we are up against it, but you would think money would be there. I don't know if Isak money was spent on Volta and Wissa, because that was a combined bit of money. A lot of money. I think it was a 69 for Volta and 50 for Wissa. Is that right? So I don't know. It might be because the rules are changing in terms of squad cost ratio, and they might be a little bit wary of that. Not sure how it's going to come off. We obviously get the money from the Champions League at the start of the summer, and we can look into squad cost ratio then based on what we've earned from Champions League, and maybe Lascelles going off the books in terms of wages, because obviously your wages go towards your squad cost ratio as well. So maybe it's something to be aware of looking forward for Newcastle, where they're thinking if we don't spend it here, we might have more in the summer.
Yeah, thank you, Watson, for the super chat. If you are listening on radio, you can super chat on YouTube and share the comments that we are reading out, of course. Ian, man, you've lost the plot. Absolutely absurd. So, Ian, Mackay.
Can I expand on that?
Exactly, I'm not sure
what Borson said.
But I've
Borson
actually
said
just...
that.
Oh, sorry,
Sorry, go on. If you've got another one to do.
I was just going to say that Tony T, I think we missed that one out last time. Sorry, Tony, but when our problem is beating mid to low teams, this is when we're having a discussion about away games against the top 10. But our results and positions have proven that we're doing okay against the bottom teams and the mid teams.
So Ian, respond to that super chat, taking you to task.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought of it like that. I bought the PSR argument right up until I'm listening to the football expert. I mean, he's the man, isn't he? That everybody cites, pointing out that there's problems in the Saudi league in that they're turning the tap off for the funds there. Ronaldo is about to go on strike.
Ronaldo's on strike. Well, not about to. He went on strike.
Right, he's on strike then because the cash is being withheld.
Well, the reason...
other Saudi Arabian sports washing sports like golf. There's a load of American golfers walked away from that PIV competition because there's not the same amount of cash really available.
Well,
so
I don't know if
if Saudi is backing off from the sports, the big sort of launch that they've done, they've got their World Cup that they were after, then that would explain why the tap is turned off a little bit for Newcastle. So, I mean, I'm just putting it out there because I was stunned listening to this on the way home tonight. I never thought about it.
I don't know that. Well, listen, first of all, when we got took over, people like Wynn were saying that, they're just going to give us 1,000 billion, if that's a number, on our Ranco deal. They're going to flood, all of that nonsense. No, they're not, because at the end of the day, they're businesses as well. They're in it to make money. So,
what of it if it could? It was,
and so they're not just going to.
You have to have sponsorship. You even have sponsorship approved. Remember, changed the rules where the Premier League category sponsorships and wages. I remember when we sold St. Maximin to Saudi, we had to sell them for like 10 million less than what the club probably thought they could get because we knew it would be investigated. And it's just
right.
Again, I'm not one of these, by the way, who's saying. I mean, I think the Premier League aren't happy with the money coming in and stuff, but I'm not one of these who's like, everything's against us. It's not fair, because obviously we can still do better and we can still grow. And I understand why rules are there. Actually, rules are there to protect clubs from doing what Leeds did, almost going bankrupt, and even the likes of like Bury, who went bust completely. So I understand why it's fair, but I think if the Saudis could have, they would have 100% just smashed money into it like Chelsea did and bought 25, 30 players until it clicked.
To me, it has to make sense for them as a business as well. They're not just gonna. Again, it's a lot of money. I don't think they're going broke. My point is, I think the Sky Sports were reporting that Ronaldo is going on strike because the other teams owned by PIF are doing well in transfers. They're getting players in, and Ronaldo's team just got this kid from Iraq. It's kind of going to my joke that we loan players to these weird leagues when I kind of exaggerate on that. But so that's why he was going on strike, I guess. Although he earns £500,000 a day, Ronaldo.
I wouldn't be going on strike if somebody paid me well. I'd do whatever they want if they paid me well.
But Roy, get in, mate. So what do you think? What do you think about this window being playerless window coming in? And it almost feels like it's more with rumors to players to leave.
Yeah, I've got a few thoughts, really. Well, first of all, it's generally you never get a value for the players. So they always cost more, and you don't get the right ones. We were lucky like with Gordon. So the players always cost more, and they might not be the ones you need at the moment and stuff. And you know what it is like. He wants to... You either bring the one I want or you don't bring anything. The same with Elanga. He wanted him for 2 years. He ended up getting him. He wanted Gihi last year. It didn't happen. And then it's like, you either bring him or nothing. So that might be one of them. The other one is, like Wynn said, PIF. It's your last year, mate. And we're going to give someone else the money before you waste it like you did in the summer. So this could be the second one. I don't think PIF are pulling out, though, because Romayan was in Paris watching the game. So
yeah, he was.
lost in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not. Well, but he was because maybe the Qatar, Saudi, trying to maybe give a good look or whatever.
Nah, maybe Qatar. Well, if they sell it to Qatar, it'd be great. Probably get a job there.
No, well, just go from one.
What was I
to the
saying?
other.
Woody, mate, it's not fair. We are so restricted, referring to the Woody Harrelson lookalike. That is war, Kev.
There you go.
Thank you, man. Thank you, but the thing is, I don't believe the PIF want to sell the club. I just feel like what PIF has. I think what PIF has done is basically maybe what every other proper business would do, which is we buy the club and we're going to appoint people to run the club. That's what that's what an investor does, and we feel like we should come here with the Saudi Arabia empire and take over and just have the greatest of all time. We can't really do that. They have given the reins to Hopkinson, and of course Hopkinson is the boss. He appoints Russ Wilson, and actually Russ Wilson came before Hopkinson, I think. But either way, that's the way it should work. And maybe that's the problem as well. We're kind of going backwards there. And they run the club. It's PIF. What can PIF do? I mean, they are in charge, of course, but what are they going to do? Are they going to tell Eddie Howe, don't play this guy, play that guy? I mean, if they appoint people, it's for a reason. So
yeah. Well, the thing is, they've done the same. They've done the same with the Saudi clubs.
Ooh.
Two CEOs and 3 directors of football, isn't it? It's like I think Chris has hit the nail on the head there. We just can't get any sort of consistency with a CEO or a director of football, because when you look at like Man City's structure in terms of, and even Arsenal, when they had Edu kind of obviously working with Arteta to get signings, it's almost like we just haven't got that part right. And I think that's the next step for the club. I know obviously we can talk about, we all love signings and whatever you think about managers and stuff, but we've got to get our structure kind of set up to be an elite club. I think if that's where we're aiming, we need a sound and a solid and a consistent long-term director of football. We also need the same with a CEO. And we almost need the club to start speaking to each other in terms of what the roles are, who does what, and what happens. But even then, you look, I think it was 2 summers ago when there was a whole thing with Howe getting linked with England, and then the director of football came in. I think it was Mitchell, and we didn't really see eye to eye. That obviously didn't help things. And we're talking about another window with no players in. I think this has felt the last 4 now where we haven't made a first team signing. So definitely a massive area for improvement for the club is to get the structure sorted and to get some sort of, I don't know, something set up where the club can compete with the elite teams in terms of bringing players in. But again, we tried last summer and we struggled. Ekitike, Sesko, I've kind of wiped it from my mind how many turned us down. João Pedro, and Buemo. We were shopping in the wrong market. We should be shopping in the market slightly below. Even though I've got to say, I would kill to have Hugo Ekitike at Newcastle. Whoa, what a player he is, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, Hugo, man, he took the mick out of us, but it took the mick. But it is what it is. It's just part of it, I guess. But so Wayne, why are you quiet, man? There's nothing. Because no way you can defend this with.
Well, there's nothing to defend, is there? That's where we are, and that's what I believe.
It's just who we are, mate.
I just think that they don't want to make the same mistakes, and that's a good thing.
I don't know.
They don't want to make the same mistakes that they made.
I hear what you're saying, Wayne. I hear what you're saying, Wayne. However, you look, we're still live in 4 competitions. The squad is really, really, really stretched.
3.5.
How obviously doesn't trust the young'uns to come in and cover very much. So without spending 69 million and 55 million, we could have acquired a spare right back, a spare left back, a spare centre back that could have been there to bump the squad up. They're a gamble, they are. But if you're only paying 15, 20 million each for them, you're going to get your money back. That's the sort of spending that should have been sanctioned. because
first of all,
as of today, we're live in 4 competitions. But if we have to compromise the team in the way that we compromised at PSG and the way we compromised at Liverpool, we're going to be out of these 4 competitions by the end of February.
The notion that Voltamara and Wissa are absolutely rubbish and we just wasted money that's rubbish in itself.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Yeah.
So but if they're thinking that, then that's not a good way of thinking.
To be fair, sorry, Chris.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I just think that the money might have been there. We don't know, but the right player wasn't there. I know people talk about Gallagher and stuff, but you look at the rest of the transfers which happened. I'm not sure how many of them I would like. I mean, there's a couple of players I do think of in terms. I mean, I'm playing Football Manager and FIFA Hero, or whatever, but like Dusan Vlahovic from Juventus would be an amazing kind of fit, or he looks like the right type of player. Talk about his contract. Could we have been ambitious and went for someone like him? But then you've got to worry, if we go for somebody like him in January, we're either going to get A, ripped off, or B, other clubs like Liverpool, like we did with Ekitike. There was no talk of Ekitike in Liverpool until we wanted him, and we thought, we'll have a bit of him. So there's always that worry as well. So I don't know. We don't know, do we? The money could have been there. They could have sanctioned money for January, and then the right player wasn't there. But again, that's when questions have got to be asked of, the director of football, the CEO, whoever's kind of decision that is to look at players and who we want. I know the personality matters at Newcastle because of, again, the type of club we are. And like I've said many times, with a fan base, when it's going good, it's amazing. But when it's not going good, Christ almighty, I don't know if there's many worse fan bases, maybe over Arsenal, who kind of overreact to things. But it's tough, isn't it? The money might have been there, but the players might not have been. Because I don't know if any of you guys can, but can you think of any players who you would have potentially been? I mean, we'd all love Lamine Yamal, but in terms of being available for Newcastle in a January window,
the only player that shifted that I would have had would have been Gallagher.
No, Gallagher? First of all, it depends on what your situation. Go on.
You don't know. You don't know. Forest have bought a Borussia Mönchengladbach left back for £2 million. £2 million.
What?
And that's Borussia Mönchengladbach. He might not be fantastic.
Why?
But at least it was somebody who's got some senior experience that would come in as a squad player. That's the sort of gamble we could have taken. When I'm saying we're still in 4 competitions, I know we're not competing for the Premier League title, but we're not far off getting a European place. So it's really important.
And that's the point, though, because then you got Forest, for example, the deal fell through, but they agreed on it. For some reason it fell through. I don't know. I'm not a Forest fan, but the Frattesi deal, we should have been in for him. A wonderful midfielder. Again, I feel like Newcastle, we don't know what we want. Because we complain that we can't. No, hold on. We complain, you complain specifically that we can't pay a lot of money for players. Perfect. I agree with you. Shake your hand. We can't buy expensive players because Liverpool come in, they take them. Perfect. So now, but when we go to lower players, Frattesi thing is good. Either way, he's not sought out by other teams, is what I'm saying. Forest can get him. If we need a backup striker for Osula, for example, Mateta is about to go to Milan. Juventus linked with him. We're not even in this conversation. We didn't even knock on the door. At least Jehovah's Witnesses try. But we don't even try, man. So I want to know, I'm with Ian. We don't even try. We don't know what we want. We can't pay for the expensive players. We don't want to go for the low players. We want proven. We don't want international players. It's all over the place. We don't know what we want.
I think in an ideal world,
let me go with Super Chat first, and then we'll go with you guys because the conversations are getting good. Wayne, go ahead.
We are questioning what's wrong, yet we've just said what it is. It's all this unsettled backroom nonsense. It's setting us back each time. Ludicrous, really, says Wazza, and I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wazza. So you guys wanted to come in on that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think Newcastle probably know what they want, but there's not many of them around. So they want under preferably 24, 25, somebody who's going to improve, somebody who is hopefully going to get better and better and better, maybe a potential sell-on value, because let's be honest, that's what football is right now. It is making a profit on players to reinvest back into younger players who are just as good, if not better. And I think the problem is when you look at players under 25 who can come in and compete for the first team, we got absolutely smoked in the summer, like I said before, and it's difficult in January because who wants to sell mid-season? If somebody wants to sell somebody mid-season, unless it's maybe a Mateta, that was a great point from Chris. He's one I would absolutely have loved to see us go in for.
Which Gary in the chat points out. Gary in the chat points that there's a reason, something with the medical, maybe.
Yeah,
we don't know, but either way.
Yeah, but again, other than him, I can't really think of many where I'm looking and thinking that's a guaranteed kind of success. Not that any transfer is, but you look at the signings of Hall and Tino, even though it took a while to get going, it was almost guaranteed they were going to increase in price. Gordon was a questionable one. We felt like we overpaid in January. Luckily, he kind of came good the season after. Has been a little bit hit and miss since. Finally got a goal from open play, obviously recently. But I think January is the hardest window. Let's be honest. It's tough, and we all want signings in, but again, I'm probably going to sound a little bit silly here, but I don't know. I still trust the club. I still trust PIF. However, I agree with Wazza about the backroom staff. We need to get a setup like Man City, like Arsenal, if that's who we want to compete with, a good CEO, a good director of football, somebody who can bring players and highlight players at an early time where nobody else sees them. We get them in. I mean, you look at Brighton and stuff, they're doing amazing with recruitment. Brentford do amazing with recruitment. Surely we can get some of them.
We must have that. The director of football, with his extensive scouting network on every continent, must have a list of players that they're watching, from kids through to 21-year-olds. We must have been able to buzz around over the course of 4.5 weeks
to
find somebody who we can get for under 10 million, let's say, just to bulk that squad out. This is emergency services required. We need help.
It brings me to squad. It brings me to my point here. Steven Gerrard, who's by the way been really how do you talking about Eddie Howe? He's melting all over Eddie Howe. Well, I mean, not in a bad way. I don't know if that was but
no, I knew what you meant. I just laughed at melting all over him.
You gotta be careful now. Win, are you listen? Hold on, let's make sure that Win is okay. You there, mate?
I'm here.
Are you falling asleep? Are we bothering you? Are we annoying you? Are we boring you?
I'm listening.
Yeah, well, okay, man. I just hey, stop checking on your Tinder account, man. Come on, man. We're having a show, man.
Swipe
Swipe
into the right.
Mighty Win's Tinder account is busy.
The thing about Win is he swipes everything to the right, though. He has no standards. None going to the left. Always to the right.
Even if she looks like me.
That just goes to show you, see, you know which way to swipe, and I wouldn't have a clue.
Well, that's what Roy told me. I'm happily married, thank you. But no, Steven Gerrard is confident that Eddie Howe and Russ Wilson will be a success at Newcastle, with confidence that Russ Wilson will have Newcastle well prepared for the summer window. So he said this: we couldn't have done what we done at Rangers without Russ Wilson. He's a great guy. He's very humble and is excellent at his job. He works around the clock, and he will be planning this window. If there is something that is on, but he will. If there's something that's on, but he will also be well ahead of the game in the summer. So Steven Gerrard speaking highly of a DOF that he worked with. And then taking the points from, again, that event that I was part of, where he said, Eddie Howe, well, of course we wouldn't bring anybody unless the manager has the final say on that. What does that make us, what can we assume when it comes to that? That Russ Wilson, I assume that Russ Wilson might have options, but if the manager says no, he says no.
That's the way it should be, surely. I mean, you look at like when we had Keegan and Dennis Wise was bringing players in and stuff. Cisco came in. Keegan didn't even know who he was. I don't think that model will ever work. I think it's. I hope it does work. I hope Gerrard's right and Gerrard's speaking from a place none of us really know in terms of actually working with Wilson. So I hope he's bang on. But I think in terms of the players, what Ian said, which was a great point in terms of he'll have this long list of players. If it's a pyramid, that very top 2%, 3% who are maybe Premier League ready now have probably already been seen by the other clubs who are much bigger than us, unfortunately, the Chelsea's, Man City's, Liverpool, well, bigger in terms of pull and regular trophies. We will also be watching them. And again, we found this out in the summer. It's so difficult to compete. But what we should maybe do we start lowering our standards and start going for Nathan Collins from Brentford? Fans might not be happy about that, but do we build a solid squad? Man City had to do it when we got to take over. I know Richard Dunn kind of stayed around for a long time. We brought in Joe, the Brazilian striker. We had Roque Santa Cruz from Blackburn. So Man City slowly built up players from lower clubs. Maybe that's what we need to start looking at, rather than competing for the Ekitikes, the Sescos, the Embuemos.
With all due respect, that's exactly what we've done.
Harry Wilson in the summer.
Ross Wilson had a list. Ross Wilson had a list 2-3 years ago that he could pull Murillo off, that he could pull Aina out of, that he could find Milenkovic? Milenkovic, that's the other centre half there. They were on his list, and they bought them, and they were challenging. Well, they qualified for Europe with that team, didn't they?
Thank you, Waza, for the super chat there. He says yes, but maybe they're still up the bits, Ian, mate. I don't know what that means, but
I don't know what that means.
Lost us there, was that?
Cheers, mate. But the thing is, again, if the motto of Newcastle United is you can basically say we got this player, we got that option, but the manager's the final say, then maybe I refuse to believe that Ross Wilson didn't come up with one single player, and that must mean that Eddie Howe said no. So Eddie Howe is the one to decide. I mean,
all the players who were recommended just weren't good enough. We don't know, do we? It's all ifs and buts.
But if Ross Wilson would recommend a player, I mean, you would think he was good, right? So Eddie Howe would have the final say.
It's tough, isn't it? Like Murillo and Milenkovic and them from Forest, who were really good, and now battling relegation. So it's tough. When you get a player, it's a little bit like, so for me, without going on too long, a player and a manager is all about the environment they're in. So when Murillo and Milenkovic and Aina were in the environment at Forest to thrive under Nuno, when they were competing and doing really well, same with Alanga, that environment was perfect for them and it worked. When the environment changes, it's very difficult to then have players who maybe aren't at that level still perform at that level. Newcastle's kind of finding that a little bit at the minute when we're seeing drop-offs from Gordon and Tonali. The environment isn't quite what it was in terms of everybody pulling in the right direction, in terms of us picking up as many points as we would like. And it's really difficult to then perform in that environment. So as much as I would love Murillo and Milenkovic and these players, we have to be sure to make as close as possible to get the environment right when they come in. If you're bringing a player into the environment now where we aren't picking up the points we want and we are 9th in the league battling on these fronts, we have to hit the ground running. We don't have a good record at that recently since kind of a takeover. Gordon took half a year, 6 months. Lewis Hall took 6 months. And I know people will say, well, Eddie Howe didn't play them for that long and they put them on the bench. But there's a reason for that as well, because, again, the environment has to fit. Same with managers. So for me, the environment at the minute isn't ideal and we want to bring in, obviously, top quality players. I would have loved Fratesi. I know he was linked before Tonali came in, but yeah, it's difficult. And I think there's lots of things to consider. It's not just, is the money there? Did Wilson put a player forward? Did Howe say no? It's what is the environment like at the club? What is the situation financially with the rules changing to squad cost ratio? Does that have an impact? Maybe we've been a little bit cautious, thinking we can get through with what we've got, which we probably can, as long as we avoid any terrible luck. And then it's a case of, right, we're now aware of squad cost ratio. We can go and spend 300 million. Who knows? I mean, I hope that's the case, but there's lots of ifs and buts. It's difficult to point blame at the minute, I think.
Yep. Roy, did you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I don't think we could have spent more than 60 or 70 million in this window anyway. So I think they would have thought, yeah, just leave it and then go for 200, 250 in the summer. Just go big with Eddie or the next coach. And yeah, Kev was right. We probably, if we don't get any more injuries and stuff, we might scrape it at the 7th or something and go back to Europe. So you never know. We've got enough in there. I don't think we've got enough to go 6th though.
So the other thing is with the key phrase that I perked up at was everybody pulling in the same direction, and that's from top to bottom at the club. That's the key. It's always been the key, and there's no club ever won anything without everybody pulling in the same direction.
I've got some discussion going in my chat, by the way. Whoa, it's flying.
Yeah. No, the chat is nuts right now. Ian, so you're not buying the PSR thing, right? Me neither, mate. Me neither. I'm with you.
PSR.
We literally haven't spent the Isak money yet.
No, I think the money's there. And by the way, if you amortize the Isak money, you're talking about potential spend of 400, 500.
Was Volter and Wissa not the Isak money? I'm just asking that because I genuinely don't fully understand. I don't know if we spent that.
Part of it, I think.
No.
You're able to amortize the cost over the length of the contract up to 5 years.
Yeah.
So that if you get 125 million in, you could theoretically spend, what is that? Can't even do the
600 million.
It's a profit, isn't it? We signed them for 63.
You've got to take the wages into consideration as well. And that's the thing. If you're buying £100 million players, you're going to be paying 300 grand a week wages. That sort of figure. And that's
there's a
one
bit
of
that comes off, though.
Sorry?
When there's a bit that comes off. So let's say Isak was on a 5-year contract and he played for 3 and he had 2 years left. So those 2 years don't count.
Yeah, we get that back, obviously. Yeah.
I think it's about 70. I think we could have spent about 70.
Yeah, it's profitability, isn't it? Because we bought them for 63, we sold them for 125 or whatever, but then we bought in 69 million and 55 million on 2 players. I don't know if that money's already gone. Yeah, I'm not 100%. This is a problem with the rules. They're not fan friendly. We've just brought them in and again, I understand why they're in. It's to stop clubs going bust. And to be honest, it's good because in a way there hasn't been many Bury FCs happen. But as a Newcastle fan, it's frustrating as hell because the money's there to spend. I believe personally, whether I'm right or wrong or cows fly over the moon, I genuinely believe the club or the owners would put that money in if there was no kind of restrictions. And we are terrified of the rules, aren't we? It's a case of, personally, I'd love to also sometimes, when we're going through a bit of a tough run, the club just go, you know what? Forget you, Premier League. We're going to absolutely smash all the rules. Come at us. We'll lawyer up and it'll take 5 years. And by then we would have won something else. So I don't know. I don't know if the Volter and Wissa money was kind of on Isak, knowing that he was going at that time.
Yeah.
That was all to do with the Isak time. But the other thing is, you're saying we paid 68 for Isak, sold him for 125. That's 57 million profit. But it's actually more than that. Because, as Roy's just said, we'd already amortized 3 years of that.
3, yeah.
So Isak effectively on the books was only standing us at 25, 30 million. So we cleared 90 million on that and lost his wages, of course.
But the wages get picked up by a new player, don't they? I mean, I doubt Volter and Wissa are on what? Probably combined, actually, we're probably on more than what Isak's on if you were to combine Wissa's wage and Volter's wage. So I don't know if that money's already been spent. That's a problem. The rules aren't fan-friendly, and it's a big issue. Same as VAR. VAR is not fan-friendly when you're in the ground. So there's lots the Premier League could do to work on them rules and maybe make it a little bit more transparent for everybody. But yeah, it's a big issue with the Premier League at the minute.
So before
Tony saying there the PSR, it's not to stop clubs going bust.
That's a good point.
Man United have got £1 billion debt.
There you go.
I guess we probably make more than $1 billion a year.
What was I saying? Yeah, if we don't get the Champions League, we should go mad.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well, they're paying about 80 million interest every year, and the bank is happy.
That's all they pay. They don't want it to pay off. As long as they pay the interest,
they don't want to pay it off. They just want them to pay the interest.
They've got the revenue to justify that.
We got the revenue to pay 80 million interest, man, a year. What are you on about?
Man United's revenue.
That's what I said last year. Just take that £1 billion loan.
It's honky dory for the bank. They have a limitless loan from Man United. So listen, we're going to get into the Sandro Tonali situation. Even the Maccoms making deals. They according to Sky Sports, they have signed the best winger from the Belgian Pro League. And listen, all I'm saying is, why not? Why can't Newcastle ever just say, you know what? proper player, doing his thing in that league. Let's try him out. We don't even do that. We don't even just try. I mean, that is my issue. That is my concern, and I do believe it's down to the manager decide. And the manager will have to face the music at the end of the season, no doubt about that. But I'm just saying, I just refuse to believe that Russ Wilson didn't bring any player to Eddie Howe, for Eddie Howe to say, look, let's get this guy. Matter of fact, there was one that we tried, but it was too late. Why was it too late? I ain't got a clue. I don't know. But how can Newcastle United, wanting a player, wait until the last day to try to get him? It's a whole month.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, that one.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's a whole month. Listen, you are listening to NUFC Talk Radio, ladies and gents.
You are listening to NUFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army. Live daily on the website, on YouTube, and on every online radio directory. NUFC Talk, the voice of the Toon Army.
The voice of the Toon Army, ladies and gents. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, become a member if you can. We are live on YouTube, on the website, on many online radio directories, and we are live now in Newcastle upon Tyne. The Toon can hear in UFC Talk Radio now. Let's go with some start comments from some of the chats here. Foxy says, oh, that was from a long time ago. Let me go here. Lee Mags, one thing this club needs is to do is stop buying, playing off players off
of one good season. So they need to stop buying players who just have one. Like, I think he means like players like Elanga and stuff.
Yeah, but to be fair,
even Baltimore half a season.
But if they don't, then they become really good players. They're going to cost money, and they're probably going to have Liverpool and all them after them. So it's a tricky situation. Young here says, guys, genuine question: does takeover mean we will always go for overpriced players like Ilanga Wissa, or we literally have no scouting network? As it stands, it's really hard to see the strategy. Well, it's exactly what we've been saying. It's hard to figure it out. It is hard. Jody Hawayman says, don't think we were looking at anyone this window. From day one, it was obvious. The Baracus says, there's no escape. They'll spend what they can, but not any old crap. Any old rubbish. Keep a few. Neanderthals. Happy this month. That's winning the lads. Don't talk about winning the lads, man. How way, man. Pika says, win is famous now. The lasses are lining up. Woo! Mighty win. They're lining up, baby.
Only human, man. They're
lining up. Tenji Vivid, Paul Mitchell probably lost his temper because Eddie Howe is too stubborn. Colton, we ain't getting Europe next season. One game a week, no point in splashing out on an aging squad. Oh, man, but listen, fans are going to be negative right now, man. That's just kind of how the crumbles.
We'll finish 7th.
El Capo says, what do people expect? The Saudis know nothing about football. We or NUFC are a very new project for them. We or NUFC, so is he... Anyway. Maybe that's why PIF struggled to recruit the right people. But have they struggled to recruit the right people? I mean,
we're finishing a Champions League twice in 4 years.
The Hopkins
won a trophy.
No, but let's talk about they did drop the ball with the Darren Neal situation. They should have just said, look, mate, take care of yourself. But obviously we have a business to run, so we can't wait 20 years for another CEO, but the Hopkinson thing, we'll have to see.
Unless they lined Hopkinson up, and he maybe couldn't come until he came. So they wanted if they thought he was best fit for purpose.
That's a fair point.
You know, they're prepared to wait to get the right person.
Ooh, that's a fair point.
Ashworth was a great signing on paper in terms of what he'd achieved, but it was just like...
So was Paul Mitchell.
Yeah, exactly. It was the character of Ashworth where it was like...
Common denominator, mate. What's the common denominator?
And
Monkey.
And Mitchell was...
Paul Mitchell. Monkey here says, the only way we're realistically getting past PSL restrictions is a new ground with 80 to 100K. I'll finally get a season ticket. That's lovely. Seeds to build a revenue stream. Boy, oh boy, my oh my. Listen. I mean, 100. It's a lot of seats, but 80, 85
revenue stream.
No. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, you're about to say
commercial revenue, not just bums on seats.
Yeah, but that ain't because bums on seats not gonna. Well, that's a lot of money though, to be fair. But I think we generate what, $5 million per match day or something like that. A lot of money, man.
But it's almost 2.5 or something. It's about 2.5.
It's still a lot of money. If you add more seats,
for the rest.
Because listen, a lot of people will become season ticket holders, and if you don't, trust me, businesses will be buying these. They will be buying them. There's businesses now that would like to have more. You know what I mean? So I'm just telling you, man. They look, businesses look at Newcastle United in Newcastle. Can't get any greater marketing than that. If you can do that. More comments here before we continue the conversation. Tony here says PSR rules: if owners want to spend money, let them. Put the debt against them rather than clubs. Easy way to find those that want to spend. Exactly. There you go. Gary says it's 85% in the Prem for standard clubs, but if you are in Europe, it's still 70% squad cost ratio. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, with the UEFA.
Next year, isn't it? That's going to be interesting.
So it makes it harder for those top 4, top 5.
To be consistent, it's going to be harder, yeah. But again, it's like, it's a little bit easier because of a revenue, Man City, like 70% of Man City's revenue will probably be more than 85% of anybody else's. So again, it's favoriting and helping the so-called bigger clubs, isn't it? Unfortunately.
Yeah, Tenji says owners don't want to back Eddie Howe. They know he's going to be England manager in the summer after the World Cup. They will probably give it to Tuchel instead when they swap jobs. Well, there's a lot of thinking, future thinking, but
that would be utopia for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why would Tuchel leave England though?
Well, I feel like Tuchel is not a stationary manager though, man. He likes to get around. And anyway,
swap will be good.
There you go. Punt Mags, I'm not. It's just Gary and everyone scrambling to try to pin the blame on the guy who was trying to fix our busted transfer. Oh, you're talking about
but it wasn't a busted transfer department. That's the point.
But it was. You know why it was? Because we hadn't signed anybody for like 2 windows, man. Actually, more than 2 windows, like 4 windows. Yeah. I think it was 4. That we hadn't signed anybody. Nobody's saying that when we recruited Bruno and Botman and Tonali and them that it was broken. But the fact of the matter is, a lot happened after that, where we didn't sign anybody.
We're saying Tonali and Barnes.
No, after that we signed nobody.
Then we were skint because we'd overspent. Then would you?
Okay, well the point remains.
Ashley had left us.
You cannot tell me that Newcastle United Football Club couldn't buy one single player for 4 windows, man. That's absolutely ludicrous to think that we couldn't buy one single player.
It wasn't 4 windows; it was 3 windows.
It was 4 windows. You got winter window and summer window. It was like till 20. We got Ilanga. That was our first signing in a long time. Who did we sign before that?
We didn't sign any. Only
Asula. Asula was
the previous 3.
Man. When?
And we had to sell.
Are you trying to take the make
Anderson and Minty?
Well, there you go.
Because that's the position that Amanda had left us in, sadly.
Like Demos.
But here's the thing. We got bigger fish to fry in the last 30 minutes of the show, folks. And it is that something worrying is happening. And I think this is setting up. The playing field is being set. The table is being put together for
We're talking about the table, man.
The cutlery. No, I'm not talking about the proper table. I'm talking about listen to my analogy, man. The cutlery is being set on the table right now. And if it's English cutlery, you got 20 forks on one side, 20 knives on the other side. It's supposed to just grab the damn thing and eat it. But, you got 1 fork. What does it win if you turn it like this? Horizontal, that means you're done? Or like parallel?
Vertically in the middle.
Yeah, all that rubbish. Anyway, whatever.
6
all those rules, all those rules to eat, man. What the heck? Anyway, everything is the we're set. I think for Tonali, something happening with Sandro Tonali, and the journalist David Ornstein, who's been claimed as one of the best of the transfer window as of recent times, came out and said that Sandro Tonali was offered to Arsenal by agent. So Arsenal explored the option, but no contact with Newcastle United, nothing will happen this window. Obviously, it's all that's done, but nothing will happen. Now, Florian Plettenberg put something out earlier saying that there was an approach as far as is he available, and Newcastle didn't entertain the thought. And Newcastle, it feels like from various reports, have been rubbishing this almost to the point where they're upset about it, I feel like, based on how journalists are responding to this, because they hear things, they ask their sources, and they tell them absolutely nothing. And the journalists are coming out on social media with very, very strong statements about this, making me believe that the club has been absolutely rubbishing it with intent, if you will. And maybe the club is not happy that this got leaked out and that the agent, people want to go at the agent all the time, right? The agent is the bad guy, the mafia guy in the middle of this. When agents are not going to do anything unless a player is telling them, the player is their boss. That's how it works. Now, listen, the agent might say, look, we can get you some more money here, and blah, blah, blah. They can put that in the ear. And therefore, the player might say, let's do it. I think there's going to be more of this in the summer. And we have seen this movie before. So all of this is not happening. All of the statements from journalists rubbishing this whole thing, I wouldn't buy that just yet, because I've seen this movie before. In Newcastle United, if we don't learn from what happened with Alexander Isak, then you just got to shut the club down, because it's shambolic. So let's get into that conversation.
I mean, that was shambolic.
Yeah, it was shambolic. So let's get into that conversation. What's going on? What do you believe is happening with Sandro Tonali? And do you blame him? Because Wayne is going to blame him. Say, if he doesn't want to be here, he can leave. We need Bruno with the flag up and all of that nonsense. At the end of the day, we don't need fans playing football, man, or people that remember where we were. We need proper footballers playing for Newcastle United. And if the project is not looking well, bye-bye. I'll take my cannoli and my spaghetti and my pizza sauce, and I'm going to London. So which one is it, Win?
And the only way that the club will go anywhere is if all the players in the squad are committed to the cause and pulling in the same direction. So, as you rightly said, not that I want to see it at all, but if there's any players who don't want to be on board and whose minds, thoughts are being turned elsewhere, bye-bye. Let's fill our pockets and find alternatives.
Well, to do it, we've got to trade to be able to afford to bring players in. We have to, if we're going to go after these bigger players. We need to trade because we don't have the turnover that the bigger teams do, and we are historically dreadful at trading. We hang on to the players for too long, so they're worthless when they go. I don't know if we've got anything for ourselves.
I was going to agree in terms of we didn't really learn from, like, Gordon was banging form, wasn't he? And it was like we should have cashed in on Gordon in hindsight when he was banging form. But again, it's that emotional connection, isn't it? Newcastle fans are also going through that weird transition of we're passionate and we're loyal over our own and we never want to see them go. But actually, we realise if we want to be up there with the elite clubs, we need to trade at the right time. Alex Ferguson was amazing at that, getting the best money for the likes of Van Nistelrooy, Ronaldo. And Ronaldo is probably a little bit similar to what Wynn's saying in terms of anybody not pulling in the same direction does affect the squad. But we've got to learn from, I agree with Chris as well, learn from Isak's situation. But is it the right time to cash in? Is his dip in form linked to maybe we just thought he was a little bit better than what he was, like we did with Gordon? We have no idea. Tonali could be a world-class midfielder. But this is where the club need to get experience quick, learn from previous mistakes, and if it's the right time to cash in, it's the right time to cash in. As much as we love our own and we want them to stay forever, if we're going to be up there with elite clubs, do we cash him in and bring in a Keith Smith with the money, who's 3, 4, 5 years younger, unproven, but comes in and is the next Kevin De Bruyne, and all of a sudden you think, wow, we made a profit off that deal and we have a better player? It's impossible to know, but It's what the elite clubs do in terms of, I mean, look at Leroy Sané leaving City. Everybody was like, why is Sané leaving City? Man City reinvested the money, got better players, went forward. So we need to learn from the mistakes, I think.
We certainly need to learn from the Isaac mistake. We need to be totally aware. Woody, you are so up my street, bro. White men can jump.
Listen,
we need to learn. We do not need. We need to be aware before the window opens in the summer if Tonali is committed to the cause or not, if Gordon is committed to the cause or not, and if they're not, get them out the door.
Even if they are, though, if we can cash in at the right time, we have to. That's how you trade now. This is what the rules are made for. If Gordon's fully committed and he bangs in 10 goals between now and the end of the season, is he as consistent as we need to challenge the elite? Probably not. So he's going to have to cash in when his value is high. That's the realism of where we're at as a club now.
But that's a good. I want to know what Ian and Roy had what think about this. Roy, go ahead first, and
first thing now, the club needs to bring in the agent and speak to him. This is what we do. It leaked out. You've done it. Explain what's happened. Have you spoken to them? No. Is it all bullshit? This is your player not happy or not? You need to explain all of that, and then. If he's like, yeah, I want him to go, this, okay. Well, we want 80 million or we want 90 million, not a penny less. And then that's it. We leave it with them. And we start looking at our targets now. Replacement. 1, 2, 3. These are the ones. By mid-July, max, you've got his replacement in. Not September 1st or 31st of August as usual. So it needs to be planned and ready. Don't do the same as Isaac. I mean, remember when Liverpool came and basically gave us ultimatum in the beginning, said we're going to get a Katike. You give us Isaac and you go for Katike, and we're like, no.
We should go in for Marino or something like it.
Yeah, we're going to go and get both. So what's happened? They got both.
It certainly did.
We should learn now and then.
We should learn from our mistakes.
We should sit with Tonali as well himself and see. Do you want to play or not? Are you part of this or not? If you want to go,
you gotta be up front. You gotta be up front.
But we want 80 million for you or 90 million. I don't think it's 100 million anymore. I'll say about 80.
Bruno's playing slightly better, and Bruno couldn't even touch 100 million. So.
Yeah, and tell you what,
age comes into it. Bruno's coming up 29 and Tonali's coming up 26, isn't he? So that instantly adds an extra 20 million to Tonali, just being 3 years younger.
So, Ian, what do you think about this whole situation going on right now?
Well, I kicked off that we need to trade at the whole start of it. Perfect example, Willock, 18 months left on his contract, actually just turned in a headline performance against PSG. We had an offer from Fulham at 20 million and turned it down. They're not coming back with anything more than half that when he's got 12 months left on his contract in the summer. So there's, and I think Michael looked back and saw that Willock had played less than 240 minutes this season. He should have gone. He should have been traded. And we'd have made a good profit on him because I think we paid 25, which must be almost fully
that's gone now,
amortized now. So that would have all been profit. And we were thrilled when Longstaff came in at 13. So that was a better deal, half as well again as the Longstaff deal. So, that's a mistake. We have to trade.
We'd only have 3 fit midfielders if we sold Willock.
Sorry?
We would have only had, I agree with you about Willock, but I just think, again, the environment and the situation we're in, we would have only had 3 fit midfielders if we'd sold Willock, and we don't know how long Bruno or Joe Linton are kind of out. Obviously, the club will know better than us, but I just think it's a bit risky. I get it's the right time to sell. I agree with you on that in the deal and the money, but we can't leave ourselves with 3 fit midfielders.
Well, Kev, if we've sold them when they mentioned it, we'd have had a week to go and find another midfielder.
Yeah, and you're panicking, aren't you? You're panicking.
But it is
and everybody knows. Look at any business. If a business knows you need that player, you are going to pay 20 million on top of what he's probably worth.
But here's the thing: is it the end of the world? Because everybody, when Ramsey came on, that's the Willock replacement. Nobody thought Willock was going to get any minutes this season. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's because of injuries.
Ramsey was Joe Linton's replacement.
So, well, it could be. I think it was. No, we sell at the right time, and we'll bail the bank. Thanks for that. But what about this then? Because it's easier to say, yeah, of course. If a player wants to leave, then they can leave. Who wants a player that doesn't want to be here? It's simple. That's the simple answer that all of you have given me here. Perfect. Shake your hand. You guys are rocket scientists. Thank you very much. Now, how about the deeper problem? How about a proper footballer like Tonali, if he wants to leave, it's not saying the project is alive? What about Livramento, widely reported not wanting to sign a new contract until the World Cup yet, because he knows he's got Newcastle's contract to sign whenever he wants, but maybe he wants a bigger project. What about that underlying issue that's out there, that the project has stalled, going backwards, or plain simple just doesn't exist anymore?
It's
if
just
that's the
next
case,
phase of the contract. It's the next phase of the contract. Livramento, I love him, right? He's a bloody right back. And if you can get 60 or 70 million in for a right back, take it. Replace him for 15 or 20 million, and you've got extra money to strengthen the rest of the squad. We've got to keep trading. We've got to trade 2 or 3 players out of the squad every year. And that will see the levels raise.
But when you get rid of a player like, right, but that's fine. When you get rid of a player like that, or like Tonali, or like Isak, then you got to be prepared to buy somebody of the same caliber. So if we can't spend
better,
or
you've scouted
better,
somebody potentially better. You've scouted the next Bruno.
Higher ceiling.
But if we can't spend, if people are whinging because we can't spend, then how are you going to do that?
But we can't spend because we're not selling. So like selling Tino for 70 million, the profit on that allows you to then, like Ian's saying, find a player whose ceiling is potentially higher. It's a difficult replacement.
I got a solution. How about like this tweet that I bookmarked because it's wonderful. It's so smart. How about we tell Sandro Tonali that he needs to remember where we were?
He wasn't here when we were. He doesn't understand.
How about but those were the days. So he should understand. He should understand and say, look, this is where we were. The project is going. It takes time. What's all the excuses when? Do you got the list? You got the list of the excuses you tell everybody. Any other way, when Tonali has to pull all the strings and we can't beat Wolves.
To Champions League.
There you go. So we should tell Tonali all of that. And he should say, you know what, you're right.
Champions League, first trophy.
So Tonali should say, you know what, you're right.
Tonali probably needs to sort out his own form at the minute because he's well below obviously what we've expected from him. But it's any player, isn't it? I said this on one of the shows I was on last in terms of every club's a selling club when it comes to probably Real Madrid, Barcelona, and probably Man City could get almost anybody they want because they are human beings we are dealing with. So I'm at a nice job now. I enjoy where I work. I get okay money, blah, blah, blah. A new place comes in for us, offers to double my money. I'm jumping ship no matter where that place has come from and what they've done because I'm a human being. And no matter how much money you have, you always want more. We always want more money and we are human beings. That is just human nature. So you have to capitalize on that at the right time. You have to have a good director of football and a good CEO, which we haven't. Well, we have had good ones, but not a lot of consistency in terms of planning 2, 3, 4 years together down the line because it's chopping and changing in the backroom staff. So we have to get that right. And then we have to trade the players at the right time. Look at Man United under Sir Alex Ferguson. He let Jaap Stam went, Van Nistelrooy went, Ronaldo went, Tevez went. I mean, Tevez was on a free, but not a great example. But big players left Man United and they went and replaced them somehow with better players until the very end when Ferguson thought, I'm retiring because I've got a midfielder, Phil Jones, and whoever else was playing. But for the majority of the time, he could rebuild the squad. So if Tino wants to go and he wants more money and we can get the correct money for him, that's when the director of football and the CEO need to take players to Howe if it is his final decision and say, this player has a ceiling higher than Tino, but it will take him 2 years to get to where his ceiling is. And right now, he's a little bit below Tino. Can you work with that? Yes or no? Yes, no, okay, sign him, don't sign him, next one. That's for joys. Not the joys, That's the
Got to
problem
trust
now
the
with
pipeline.
the rules.
Trust the pipeline that the scouting network and the director of football are
Beckham
building
went,
up.
great shout.
And in the meantime,
and you can go anytime for stuff in the pipeline because you've got them coming through at such a unidentified range, if you like, that you can afford to make some mistakes. You can afford to have somebody that doesn't develop and get rid in 18 months.
That's where Man
you'll
City
get your
are.
money back.
Yeah. Like Man City signed was a Bravo, the goalkeeper, came in, didn't work after replacing Hart, and again, rather than Pep have to coach him to be better, he just went and signed Edison or whoever else came in. The issue, well, the place we're at now is when Howe signs a player, it doesn't go right, he's got a coach from him. So Bernie's turned into a better player, Joe Linton turned into a better player, Shaw, blah, 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 Murphy, Barnes, Gordon. List goes on and on in terms of the players he's made better. The problem we're not doing, even while our coach is making these players better, is cashing in on them at the right time because, and this is where it goes back to Wynn's point of where the club used to be, as fans, we're not used to being an elite, a fan of an elite club. So we get really close to our players. I mean, Christ, I still absolutely love Hatem Ben Arfa and Kabay and Gary Speed and Lauren Robert. I've still got an attachment to them, and they finished playing for us years ago. So I've got to get my head around as a fan in a developing club, an ambitious club, hopefully going in the right direction. But I've got to let go of that personal feeling and say, you know what? If it's for right business and it's the right time, we've got to let them go. As much as the only ones I would genuinely break my heart to lose would be Bruno and Joe Linton for me, and probably Fabian Shaw, but I get he's getting older. That's just because I've got a natural connection to him. But that's where, as fans, if Tonali is going and we can cash in on him, we can get some form out of him in the next couple of months and we can get 85, 90 million, we've got to do it because, again, all we'll do is wait until his contract's got a year left and then we'll be receiving 40, 30 million and then we can't reinvest it and we're still having conversations like, why haven't we spent money in a transfer window and then you're stuck.
Yeah, but that argument is
Don't
going
then
out the
go
window when you go on, Ian, sorry.
I was going to say, but don't then go and try and compete all summer with Manchester City and Liverpool and Manchester United, who also want Elliot Anderson, for example, and find out that it's the 3 days before the end of the transfer window and he's signed for Man City and you still haven't replaced Tonali. You've got to trust this pipeline that your experts are building up. I mean, they must invest. I don't know how many scouts we've got, but I mean, there must be a huge team that's filtering information back all of the time for this list. We've got to trust that. And I'm sure they do, but you've got to trust it.
I'm way too positive.
And you are taking a gamble, but at the levels, you can afford to bring two in for every one that you've got rid of and find the right one there.
Yeah, I'm way too positive to be a Newcastle fan, but I do think the summer...
They're all positive. It makes me sick.
As long as we keep the right CEO and the right director of football and we have everybody pulling in the right direction in terms of the players and the club, we will get a transfer window right. And when that comes, oh my God, it's going to be glorious. We have to keep the faith, Chris. We got to keep it. As Newcastle fans for years, we know all about the faith. It's the hope that kills you. But right now, we have a reason to be hopeful.
Here's the thing, though. Let's say we do all of that you're both rightly suggesting we should be doing, which is selling players at the right time for the right price. But that inevitably means that we are selling our best players.
Yeah, so everybody you're not moving.
And it doesn't matter who the manager is, selling your best players will result in poorer results.
No, you sell your best players at the right time. That's the difference.
Yeah, but this isn't the right time to sell them.
That's what we have to do.
No, this isn't the right time to sell them.
You don't sell them all at the same time, Wayne. You don't sell them all at the same time.
On a window.
You wait until you've got a Lewis Miley that's looking like he can fill the boots of Tonali, maybe.
And then you cash in on
and then you sell Tonali because Lewis Miley just steps in and plays that number 6 role. And you're looking for a Lewis Miley replacement to bring in, which you'll find for 25 million, and you'll coach for 18 months. And you might find that you've then got a 4th, 5th, 6th choice midfielder to sit in the first team squad.
But
meanwhile,
the thing is,
Lewis Miley's taken over from Tonali.
The goal for Newcastle should be, if we absolutely have to sell for PSR reasons, we're going to have to sell. But if we got money, we need to spend and not sell our best assets, but we can bring in so we can stack up the goods until we have to sell. And don't worry about that. Right now, we don't have to sell.
Yeah, but that's what we did, isn't it? We stacked up the Tonali, the Bruno, the Isaac.
Yeah, but we sold Isaac already.
We stacked them all up, and we were kind of getting like 30 million for Longstaff, 30 million for Anderson, and we were selling when we had to. But then a long time goes by where 2, 3, 4 windows, I think you said, Chris, where we don't invest because we've stacked up the talent. So that's when Ian's making the point of you sell maybe one in the next window while you've got somebody coming through. But that's the other issue. Our academy was neglected for so many years. That's going to take years to build up. So that's then got to come right. And we are trying to be an elite club from a history. And I know people don't like talking about the history because I agree. We've got to stop looking at this is where we came from. But in the holistic approach of the club, our academy and our setup is so far behind Premier League clubs. So we need to buy very clever and potentially cash in on the best players at the right time. Don't just cash in on them because they're the best player. Cash in on them at the right time. That's where we've got to be a little bit cleverer for me when it comes to a director of football and the CEO.
But
I do think
we got money to
it's
spend
not the
now,
right
and
time
we're not.
to sell anybody at the moment, though. Just to be clear, I know if Tonali's an asset and he wants away, fine. Be professional and get through to the end of the season. We've not got a squad that's big enough to let one of our main men go whilst we're still competing on these 4 fronts.
But
so
again,
it might be the right time. It'd still be the right time in the summer.
We got 10 minutes left, and you guys, for 20 minutes, went around and didn't answer the question I asked, which is good. Good job at it, but not good enough.
Let's answer it.
What about players wanting out because they don't see a project worth fighting for? Do you guys believe that they're just absolutely wrong? There is an absolutely great project going on, and they're dummies for wanting to leave? Or do you guys would agree that it might seem like it is stalling up, and then that's a bigger worry than Tonali wanting to leave, which is a big worry in itself? Because if other players want to leave, then we have a bigger issue because it seems like we can't really bring in players as quickly as we can sell them. And you guys, you got 10 minutes left. So
I'm going to let Roy go first because I feel like that. Yeah, go on, Roy.
Well, let's say in Tonali's case, he looks at the project and he thinks it's not going to go anywhere. Well, mate, you start with yourself first and play better, and you can help us get some points and go higher. But you're playing rubbish, and you're disrespecting the rest of the players and the coaching staff and stuff. We're not all good. We're all not good enough. But you, Mr. Tonali, came from Milan, and you think you're better than everyone. You don't want players like that on your team. 100%. You don't want, because he's going to go to Arsenal and he's going to win out.
So everybody's the villain here, except for Newcastle and the game, right?
No.
So a player can't just say, you know what? I think my career will advance more, and why not get paid more in another project? Because I'm a villain. More. I'm a numpty. I'm a villain. I'm the bad guy because the other ones that are not leaving, they're the great guys. They're the Toon legends, right? But this is, again, my point is missed here. You're not going to run this project based on love and affection. It's not going to happen. So you're going to have to sell something, either money or a project. Or both.
There's one thing though that's making me comfortable. I can name you about 30 or 40 players who left us for the same reasons, and they all failed. I think only Wijnaldum, maybe a bit Sissoko, kind of.
Milner's the only one I think of regularly in terms of who went and had a great career. But a lot of people left us and went down.
Milner, maybe. Yeah, almost every single one.
To go back to what Chris is saying, I don't think they're the villain. I understand if they my God, if I was a player and I didn't support Newcastle and I was at Newcastle and Arsenal wanted us, of course, at the minute, with Arsenal looking like we're on for a quadruple, I hope we don't win it. But I'd want to go there as well. So we're not the bad guys. For me, there's 2 things which come into it. One is the way they leave. So the way Isaac left in terms of refusing to play after we pretty much built him in terms of reputation and put him on the platform. That is unacceptable as a fan. And let's be honest, our jobs as fans is to support the players who are at Newcastle. I couldn't care less about anything else. If they are a Newcastle player, I back them to the hilt, right? Because that's my job in the stands. I support them. I'm positive about them. I give them, hopefully, that 0.1% extra, which lets them get to that ball first and they win that ball for our club, right? So that's our job as a fan. So we're always going to support the ones who leave. I wouldn't blame Tonali for leaving. If he's leaving because he sees the project stalling, that's his opinion. I personally think he's wrong. I think this project was always going to be longer than 5 years because of the different PSR rules, now SCR rules coming in. Again, not wanting to disturb the big six. It was always going to take longer than Chelsea. It was always going to take longer than City. So personally, I think he's wrong. But if he thinks that, I understand. And we shake hands. Thank you for the 3 years. We'll have fond memories of you. Just don't refuse to play. It's how he leaves for me if he becomes a villain or not. But look, it's a case of Tonali's entitled to do what he wants, but I'll always back the players in black and white over anybody who wants to leave, because that's just what I've kind of been conditioned to do from my parents, I guess.
Indeed. Woody, you're mint. The bosses buy and sell Eddie trains.
There you go.
Cheers.
And RG Fox is saying the project has stuttered and pooped its pants.
Well done.
Restart required, and that's most likely with a new gaffer, says RG.
Oh, man.
Probably.
See, I wasn't going that far, but that's it.
I think trading in the right way, by the way, trading in the right way will show, particularly if it's driven by a new director of football and CEO, will show that the project does have some direction.
Oh,
we are
wasn't
moving
choppy.
forward.
Thank you.
And, you know, but sitting there milking the squad till it just ages and players like Wilson go for nothing. That's not a project. That looks like it lacks direction. Joe Linton, still first choice, approaching 30 now. He must be expecting that there's a young lad coming through to play left side of midfield, snapping after him. For there to be proper direction on a project, there isn't. We had one in Elliot Anderson who got sold the wrong bloke at that stage.
We had to, yeah.
We should have sold Joe Linton then and kept Elliot Anderson in our team. That's where the potential and the ceiling was.
I think Forest. Longstaff.
So I think trading, actually, rather than losing our one asset, is demonstrating to the rest of the players in the squad that there's a project going, that we're letting Tonali go because we've got this lad coming through. It's hard, but I mean that's when your director of football is
Does it not also though then send signals that we are a stepping stone club now still?
Every club's a stepping stone club to the big boys. Every club. Until we start winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues, then other clubs will be a stepping stone for us. But we always will be. Like I say, Real Madrid, everybody's a stepping stone to Real Madrid. Everybody wants to play for Real Madrid.
Even Mbappe did it to PSG.
Yeah,
sat there, wouldn't renew his contract. Went
Hang
for
on,
now.
Roy.
So basically,
we are knackered.
We're not knackered.
Van Persie
we're
from,
good to go.
Arsenal.
We're not knackered. The love's there. The positivity's coming. A home win in the league.
Just look at the league table. We are rigged.
The thing about it is, Fulham sent a 20 million bid, like Ian was saying, for Willock. Newcastle rejected it because unless they find a replacement. Did we even attempt to buy a replacement? That's the issue.
Yeah,
that's the issue, man.
Honestly, I think if Joe Linton and Bruno were not injured, he would have been gone.
I've got to say,
they're injured until like 2 weeks from now, man.
Lee Maggs is saying I need a promotion, so I'm just going to make sure Chris sees that one because Chris is my boss. He's the gaffer.
Which one?
Lee Maggs,
Kevin's getting
needs a promotion.
King Kerry's getting a promotion. Don't trust me. You better watch this space. He's getting another happy clapper.
Can I have Roy? I think me and Roy's a good balance. If I have a show, Roy's my man, I think. Andy is win. I don't want to leave anybody out. I'm too nice.
What's that saying? Graphs and stats. Everybody wants to be a manager these days. It's simple.
Don't worry. King K will have a show. Don't worry, man. It's in the pipeline. Let's go with the last comment here. The Baraka says, "Why would we need any signing after such a strong performance in our latest defeat?" Oh, that's what King Kev's show is going to be. You know, Liverpool, man, great performance, 4-1. But don't worry about it. Remember where we were and all that nonsense.
I'm officially no longer a happy clap. Right? I told him in chat I'm sensible and passionate or something.
Compared to we only used to win.
Yeah,
that's the delusional happy clapper.
Yeah. That's the happy clapper there.
On steroids, man. On steroids.
I will wear that badge with pride, my friend.
Oh my God!
But at least, we're top of the league. We're top of the bottom half of the league.
Yeah. Last comments here. Tony says, "Can understand why we didn't sign anyone. We won't." Oh yeah, we read that one 20 million times. Man.
Yeah.
One more comment. Looney Tune here. Really starting to worry about PIF investment. The first steps after buying the club to break PSR would have been invest stadium, training ground, sponsorships. Follow. There you go. Thank you very much, and all the super chatters as well. Thank you, all of you out there. Waza multiple times. Dark Side of the Moon. Tony T. Waza, man, all night. RG Fox there. Thank you very much as well, mate. Thank you, all of you. We'll be back again. Tomorrow is, what's tomorrow? Tuesday. No, match day is Wednesday, isn't it? So Tuesday. There you go. Tomorrow, another, all the shows coming up as usual. Don't forget, you can listen live.
Chris, tomorrow they can catch me and Gary just after 10.
Oh, yes, that's right. Presser tomorrow.
Reviewing the...
Why am I at work? If I wasn't at work, I'd be all the time.
Yeah, pressure tomorrow, ladies and gents, and what Eddie Howe has to say. What Eddie Howe's gonna have to face the music now about the window, and all the anyway, stay tuned tomorrow, 10 a.m. actually, presser and all that stuff.
Watch all the hard questions going in.
There you go, and you can listen live on NUFCTalkRadio.com or on DAB on every online radio directory. Thank you very much. Away the lads. See you later.
Away the lads.